Hello everybody, welcome back to Wappleville, and welcome back to the Empire of Dust Mantic style. Just put this thing together. We are going to do a little light object source lighting. See what I did right there? Got some, well actually make it epic basing bit there. We've got texture war from Green Stuff World, and then we've got this figure. This is from Kings of War, Mantic. I guess we'll go with the mostly the stone theme, although I might go with some gold stuff right here. Just to get some shinies in there. Maybe not up here, but obviously I think on the blades in a couple of the areas. Hey there, Crazy Wolf. Nice to see you again. Happy Monday and all that stuff. So Crazy Wolf, it's been, hey Landrast. I think it's been, 3 weeks since there's been object source lighting on the channel. I don't recognize the channel anymore. It's like totally foreign and alien to me. It's been weeks since there's been object source lighting. So yeah, I'm not even sure is this even my channel anymore? Because there's just extreme lack of object source lighting. Now I had thought about doing something like this here with the bluish light, but let's just keep this a little bit more standard here. Hey there, Dubrock, nice to see you back again. Yeah, Landris, we might have done 1 or 2 cavalry figures, right? I mean, I don't know, only 8 of them. Well, technically more than that, technically 9. Oh, also, speaking of cavalry, yeah, those guys are getting to be ready to go. Thank you so much, Designs by I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you so much. Thank you, appreciate that. Speaking of cavalry, let me see if I can reach these buggers here. Are they in here? Oh, well. Okay, here we go. We got, there's the big hats. So this is the next army painting series here. And I was doing partial assembly on them because we want to actually show the assembly as part of the video process too, of course. We want to do that. We're going to do a real simple pre-glaze here, mostly Van Dyke Brown. Maybe a little bit of brown matter here and there. Maybe a little bit of the, I almost said black spinel. I mean, love that color, but the Mars Black is actually half the price. Well, almost half the price, which is weird considering that's the Williamsburg color that we're saying is half the price. So Landris, I'll show those again over the course of the evening there. So those are the Lost Kingdoms big hats. Oh, hey Landrast, did you happen to get the email from Titan Forge? Did you see what Titan Forge has done? That might have to be an army painting series too, as in it's going to happen. So Crazy Wolf, I hope you had yourself a good money. Same thing, Dubroff. And of course, thanks again, Designs by I appreciate that, of course. Yeah, Landrast, basically sort of, well, let's see, what was the legendary, I almost said, look at me, Legendary Legion. What was the, Regiment of Renown. Thank you so much, Blades. Blades, I hope that you're doing well this week. So thank you so much, Blades. Appreciate you being here. So Blades, the next one you were gonna do, next stream was gonna be with Painterly Git, right? Oh, I hope that you have. I'm sure you'll have a blast with that. I'm sure that you will. And Blades, if you wanted to share any of your miniature painting goodness that you've been working on over the last several weeks here, you want to do that? I'm sure that would be fantastic. Well, Blades, I mean, you had a lot of fun, right? When you did that with the Painterly Git there, I think you had a lot of fun, and well, you got some nice miniature painting done at the same time, right? So Landrast, it's like a clearly Empire, but definitely Conquistador is the theme, and all that kept. It's almost like an entire army of that one regiment of renown. Do you remember what the heck that was called, or does anybody in the chat remember what the Regiment of Renown was called, and they were conquistadors. So Landrest, did you see not just the giant griffin, but did you see those Tauruses? And did you see the one war wagon thing? So yeah, those that's got to happen, don't you think, Landrest? That's gonna have to happen for sure. Again, we don't want to forget the object source lighting down here either. Everybody, please check out the link that Blades just posted there. So Blades, hopefully everything canine-wise is relatively stable. I mean, I know that there's always some kind of new mischief there. Yeah, Landrest. What was this? Oh, actually, Landrest. I printed out a bunch of the lizard men from this month, and I gotta say they did a pretty good job with those. They did a pretty darn good job with those guys. Obviously, not. I haven't been able to print out the big guys because, well, don't quite have the printer for that. But I printed out a decent amount of the stuff, and I gotta tell you, that does not look too shabby. Now, Blades, is this something that the allergies coming up just because, well, in dog years he's getting to be more like a teenager instead of a baby now? Because he's kind of getting past the puppy stage? Or is that just something I didn't want. I was hoping that it wouldn't be something that would just kind of develop because of the meds and him being on them for, gee whiz, how long was he on those things? Basically his whole life, pretty much. Blades. I mean, which of course, by his entire life, we're talking about months. Let's see. It was on eardrops. Okay, well, hopefully those weren't ear mites. Although having to have him on those for any reason is not going to be a plus, is it? So sorry, Blades, that's just the gift that keeps on taking away. That is, I'm sure that's just no fun. Just every time you turn around going, oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at this. There's a paint liquor there. How you doing there, paint liquor? Of course, as always, nice to see you again. These will be indigo. But right now, I don't care. I'm just going to slap this junk on there because, well, huge surprise, I don't care. We got makeup sponges over here. Bloom. Let's see. So let's break. Are these the ones? Yeah, okay. So Landress. What I was going to do is sort of a unit with filler. So we're going to have 10 just right. Well, here, let me get some guys that have stuff. Okay, here. So 10 of these guys. We have a champion, we have a musician, we have a banner bearer. Then we've got this and a couple of guys holding him down. That's going to be part of the unit filler. And then I've got these things too. They will also be part of the, it's going to be one big unit tray. It's something that I've really technically just never done before. And I thought this could be very interesting. And of course, again, we have, I mean, this is just part of the cav. There's more still to assemble, kind of the command guys. And then there's all the infantry too. So we're talking about a fair-sized Far Harad army. And of course, we'll get back to this color scheme right here. Because why not? Now let's just start getting some of this stuff yanked away here. I mean, that's actually not a bad amount of staining when you think about it. Considering that it's just Van Dyke Brown, which is an earth tone, which of course is usually not going to be the most staining color ever. Now, what's the other thing we do sometimes when we say, let's not take away too much of that? Look, I actually just painted some on. I'm just going to keep using this same sponge here. So what it kind of does is only maybe takes away the kind of extreme excess. And then if I want to take away some more, then I'll grab me a fresh sponge. A little bit of strategery there. So we'll get rid of that sponge now. We'll get to another one here. This is going to be a little bit like the Osiarchs, where some people will say, well, you had me at pre-glaze. Obviously, we're going to go a little further than that, but we always try to make things where people could say, you know what, if I could just, that's good enough. That'll get me to a good spot right there. I'll be happy with that. Actually, let me fill in some stuff there. So see, as we start to grab some fresh sponge, you see it starts to take away a little bit more, but not too much. You don't need to go all the way back down to primer or anything like that. So blades, it's well, Landrest and Crazy Wolf and I, we were talking. It's been something like 3 weeks or so since there was last object source lighting on this channel. So people were barely recognizing it. They were like, "Who took over this channel? Where's all the object source lighting?" So we had to get back to it. We had to get back to the object source lighting. So this has to be done for Mantic so that they can have this and some other stuff at Adepticon. So not a bad thing. Again, we'll be hitting this with those filbert brushes, right, to get our lighter colors over the top of that after, of course, we set fire to it in a way. Hey, Arta Michael, or should I say my fellow Gothmog. So, Arta Michael, I hope that things have been somewhat calm there. Actually, I'm going to throw a bit of naphthol, with that brown matter. There, I'm going to just chuck it all right in here. What the heck? We get awful worried about details, don't we, Arta Michael? Yeah, we're super concerned about those details. Oh my gosh. Hey, Deck Knight, nice to see you back. Nice to see you back. Hope that you've had yourself a decent Monday. So, Arta Michael, how has things been going printing-wise also with your giant project? Well, you have a couple of projects, but one of them is the really big King Kong project, so hopefully that's been going okay. So Arta Michael managed not to get taken out by all the people sliding all across the roads and such. So I guess Arta Michael, it's I don't know. Has it really been super cold or anything like that to mess with your printing? So I was wondering if you were able to get some of that done. All right, there you go. Wow, we're already starting to run low on that batch of sponges already. Holy smokes! I mean, not terribly. Look at it. So that the naphthol does provide a little bit of staining here, doesn't it? I mean, again, not a bunch, and of course we didn't leave it set on here for very long. But still, not terrible. Let's see. So Arta Michaels, that's not a baker's dozen. That's not even a baker's dozen, but certainly not the kind that you want, right, Arta Michael? So sorry that you had to deal with all that craziness. So Arta Michael, is there any type of basing that kind of has intrigued you for a while? Something you might want to try, or something that you just don't have with your other armies? Or something that you think might also generate an interesting color scheme? Or all of the above? Alright, what the heck? We'll just grab this here. Alright, we're going to do it. We're going to do this with some of our... There's some of our red, some of our orange. Is there a Megan in the house? There is a Megan. Blades... there might be only a few left. I'm trying to think of what's left because I just finished off the last of the gummy rings. Seriously, maybe, I don't know, a half an hour ago, finished off the last of the gummy rings. There's a tiny bit of the is that the maple toffee? I think there's one little crumb left of that. Obviously, the syrup, I'm probably going to be having some of that. There's a decent amount of the syrup left. I'll be having some of that over the course of the next week or so. Me to Leviathan. Hey, M. Tillies, how you doing? So M. Tillies is Las Vegas Open is this weekend, right? And again, everybody, please give M. Tillies a follow. M. Tillies always rocking the MetaZoo, you know that. But M. Tillies does do more than just MetaZoo, so please give M. Tillies a follow. Also, please give Megan a follow. So Megan, sorry I didn't get a chance to reply to you there. Let's see. Is there a Valfera? There is a Valfera in the house. Sorry, everything just kind of scrolled past me here. 1 second. So I just want to make sure we didn't miss everybody. So Megan has done a 3rd stream in a row. Hey Megan, why don't you post, well, some of the fabulous stuff that you've been painting on stream. And again, everybody please give Megan a follow while you're at it. Let me see. This is, you see how I'm getting to be quite the Nostradamus here? Because not only can I predict when a raid is going to happen, not only can I predict who it's by, I am so able to predict it that we actually have fire. We have fire for the Holy Fireman. Thank you so much, Holy Fireman, for the raid. I appreciate that. I hope that you're doing well. Let's see, a Singing Junebug. Sing Junebug, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. And Holy Fireman, I hope that you are doing well. So, it had been a few weeks since we last did object source lighting on the channel. I know that's deplorable because typically that's what we're doing like every other stream is object source lighting. That's what we're going to be doing here on this sky. So we're just starting to establish some of that right now. It's going to be a little bit more along the lines like this. And we have to establish, see something like this. Look at all these cooler colors, grayer colors here, using our fluorescence to really accelerate what we see there. Now we also, so a Holy Fireman, if you don't mind, if you could post, I know you just finished your stream. Hey there, Chaos, nice to see you again. So Holy Fireman, if you want to post any Insta links, Discord links, something like that, please go ahead and do that. And thank you so much. I appreciate that raid. If everybody could also, you got somebody else that you need to follow. That would be the Runic Raccoon. Hey there, Hannah, how you doing? So Runic Raccoon, nice to see you back again, and thank you so much for the raid. Thank you so much, Reaper Shark, Armored Bunny Bear, JC the Trash Panda, and Hannah, thank you so much. Here, we'll get Hannah her toast right there. Right there. Now we should, well, let's just grab ourselves one of our object source lit. Gandalf's right there. Oh my goodness. What is it with all these? You're not a Balrog, are you? It's like, dude, I'm like made of stone. He's like, well, I don't know. The Balrog's made of like ash and flame. I mean, that's rock, isn't it? Thank you so much for that. Hey, Lethal Shadows Maiden. Sorry, Lethal Shadows Maiden. Freudian slip, so to speak. So, Lethal Shadows Maiden, I hope that you're doing well. And thank you so much, Echo Hoof. I appreciate that. Hey, Gago, nice to see ya. So, everybody, please give Runic Raccoon, Holy Fireman, and now Kagoma's Fury a follow. You should also follow Lethal Shadows Gaming. There's Lethal Shadows Gaming. So you got like 1 billion people that you need to follow. So go ahead and follow all of those. So Armored Bunny Beer, it is actually blackberry ginger ale with a touch of rum. Blackberry ginger ale and a touch of rum. It's actually my favorite. I really do love that stuff. Now, here we go. Here's again another example of one of these little skulls right here. Right, so we just wanted to get this object source lighting established as soon as possible. And again, we do a little bit of object source lighting on the channel here, and it's all forms, all colors. We have a bunch of little candle lights right here. Now, of course, where's the, oh, here we go. Here's another torch light here. This is it's an old Reaper figure there with some torch light, because why not? Now, it doesn't always have to be just the firelight. So here's some magenta light. Oh, look at this. Here's some blue light. And it's not just for individual miniatures because, oh, wait, it can be a bunch of stuff like, I don't know, a Moria army, right? Or my Dunlending army. Or, where's my dwarves? Oh, look at that. More object source lighting. Now, what we've been painting lately, of course, is a lot of this stuff. So we painted 2 units of these Starfall Knights. Had a blast doing those. So thank you so much, Trash Panda. I appreciate you being here, and thanks for the kind words too. So Valfera, let's see. Do you think you might be able to get yourself some sleep this time around, or do you think it'll be the usual waking up in the middle of the night? Now here's again another example, and of course that's Gandalf. It's like, see this here? Yeah, never fight a Balrog with a glow stick and a kitchen utensil. It's a bad idea. And of course, after you die, you know what your fabulous prize is going to be? A white robe. That's just super, Iluvatar. Thanks, appreciate that. So, well, a runic raccoon, and it's like we always say, right? When you want to get started with the oils, a couple of really important things is, first of all, you're going to want to do these type of things. These little color chart things, they will get you really familiar with how those paints work. And of course, let me grab something else here. This is another important thing. Yeah, here, let's have this at hand. Sometimes just do a value study. Take one light color, one dark color, and then just paint the whole thing in those 2 colors. Do a value study just to kind of get yourself acclimated to the oils, instead of, kind of making it difficult for yourself that first time around. Let's see. Well, I guess Valfair, yeah, it's almost winter here. It really hasn't been winter for weeks. It's almost winter again. I know that you, well, let's see, how many months did you wait for the stupid weather to try and alleviate your allergies? Which it never really did it? Never quite did it. I don't think so, Valfera. I think it always just kind of was still there. Alright, now, I'm going to take a different filbert brush here. Now let's get to some of this other lighter stuff. I want to change the... change this along the way here too. So let's just very much a dry brush, but it's all going to be mixing, right? Thank you so much, Anonymous. We appreciate the anonymous gifter. Thank you so much. So if everybody could please give Lethal Shadows Gaming a follow, and also too, again, check out Lethal Shadows Gaming for all of your 3D printing needs, because I swear by the end of February, Lethal Shadows is going to have 25,000 STLs to choose from instead of the current 20,000. There's also some fabulous dice. There's also some fabulous miniature holders. There's also brushes. Speaking of brushes, now again, look where I'm holding this thing. You can actually see it here. I'm going to actually change Ola here to some, believe it or not, to some grayish blue. Why? Because I want to have that difference between the firelight and this. So yeah. So Lethal Shadows, it's going to snow, then it'll be 70 degrees because reasons, right? Yeah, that's pretty much how it's going to go.
So say we all.
Hey, Vetbod. Nice to see you back. Nice to see you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Now, let me see. This is the new one that we just did. So, we did 4 streams on these guys. See that? There you go. There you go. So the desert basing and such. It looks like we got ourselves a hype train as well. Let me try and grab that here. Oh, there it is. There it is. What does that mean? What's a hype train? It means look out. There's something coming right down the tracks at you. Look out. There you go. Hype train. Hype train. There it is. There's the choo-choo right there. Hype train. Is there an arid? And there is an arid can wipe. There's also, looks like I also see a Queeze. There's a magical Queeze in the house. How you doing there, Queeze? I think we have ourselves a level 2 hype train. What does that mean? What could that possibly mean? I don't know. Hype train. Hype train, there it is. There's another choo-choo for you. Hype train. Hype train. Haha. So thank you. So hey there, Grand Oracle. Thank you so much. Looks like we have ourselves a full-scale Blitzkrieg. That's a full-scale Blitzkrieg. Hey, Wolfenstein. Nice to see ya. Nice to see you again, Wolfenstein. So thank you so much, Grand Oracle. Appreciate that. So let's see. Happy Heretic seems to have a deplorable lack of pizza boxes. That's, well, that just means you have to get more pizzas, which that's less of a tragedy, wouldn't you say, Happy Heretic? It means it's all for the greater good that you have to get yourself some gotta get yourself some pizzas. Let me see. I think we're all cut up. So, Queeze, how the heck are you doing?
So say we all.
And again, Wolfenstein, nice to see you. Thank you so much, Grand Oracle. So, Arid, I hope that you're doing well. If everybody could please give Arid Can Wife also a follow, that would be sensational. Thank you so much, Grand Oracle. Appreciate that. Hey, Rad Trails, everybody please give Rad Trails a follow also. Now, oh, Grand Oracle, I was showing people this earlier. So the Chaos Dwarves here. I was going to try and I think tomorrow night we'll be filming the first episode here. It's going to be quite the decorative movement tray with 10 of these guys, one of this dude here, and 2 guys holding him down with the chains, and then a couple of these, and then plenty of freehand on those on the movement tray. So it's going to be sort of a very decorative, multi-based movement tray. Now, obviously, I don't think we're going to do the object source lighting this time because we actually did have object source lighting in our previous one where we did. I think I already passed that by. Yep, here we go. Here's our. So this was the other multi-basing that we did. Obviously, there we had plenty of object source lighting. So I think this time around we won't do the object source lighting. I see Art of Mike Disney in the house. How you doing there, Art of Mike Disney? Yeah, Grand Oracle. Now, I have to say that the other stuff that I did, those Naga, I did my own supports on them, and I'm really glad that I did. Because even the Chaos Dwarves here, uh, all I can say is, Grand Oracle, you can never trust their supports. I would just do them your own. Art of Mike Disney, how the heck are you doing? If everybody could please give Art of Mike Disney a follow. Hey Mike, if you wanted to share any Insta posts in the chat, I know you've been streaming a bunch lately, so I know you got some things that you could probably share in the chat there. All right, well, Armored Bunny Bear, I wish you luck with the sleeping. I really, really do. Of course, should that prove difficult, we'll be here for a while, so we can be here to try and mellow things out, get things nice and mellow, so that maybe you can still get some shut-eye there. So Trash Panda, nice to see you here too, and you get yourself some nice sleep. So I think we're all caught up. Again, if I missed anything in the chat, if I missed anything, I apologize there. Looks like Arid also wants to get in on that Blitzkrieg. And Grand Oracle says, you know what?
So say
It's
we
time for a dual hype train. What's a dual hype train? That would be one of these things right here. Oh, that's both of them coming at you at the same time. Hype train. Hype train. Yes, at some point we'll paint this in these colors, and I guess we'll have to paint hype across the side. That's going to be really interesting when that actually happens. That's going to be very interesting when that actually happens. Now, of course, let's not leave out. Don't blink. I blinked and like I lost my eye, man. That's serious stuff right there. So thank you so much for all the gift subs and the cheers and the bits. Now again, that is going to be along this type of, see, right here? That's what we're looking at as far as our light goes. So let's see. Oh, thank you so much, Erda Mike Disney. That's 17 subs there. And Era, thank you so much also for the bits. And of course, Grand Oracle. Now, I'm pretty sure that we are at level 4 here. So that means we're just going to have to do this again. And that's just going to come right at you. Right there at that camera. There it is. Hype train. It does work. Seriously. Look at that. Some C batteries. Yeah, some C batteries. C batteries. Now, the whole reason we have these stupid things is because I wanted terrain for my bolt action games. This is a little bit smaller than bolt action scale. I wish it was about 5% bigger, but it's close enough. I mean, it's pretty darn close. Like I said, 5% bigger. I think it would be just about on with my bolt action stuff. Everyone, what in the world is... Why does he have a toy train in his hand? Let's see. So, Ikohoof, I'm sorry to hear about that. Now, is that sort of a sudden thing that's just come up, or is that something that's been a little bit of a bugaboo for a while and it's acting up? So sorry to hear about that. Hey, Frozen Toes, thank you so much.
So say we all.
Thanks, Frozen Toes, and it looks like Anonymous, a gift sub to, oh, Ben McBradbury. So thanks, Frozen Toes, and of course the Anonymous gifter back at it. Thanks, Megan. Hey, Megan, I'll send you a message. Again, we're not quite sure if the treatment's going to happen tomorrow or not because levels they're low. I don't know if they're that kind of low, but they're low. So I'll just shoot you a message there later, and you say goodnight to everybody there for me. So thank you so much. Hey, Quiz, did you get a chance to play a game this weekend? I never got a chance to ask about that. So thank you so much, Grand Oracle. More subs and more bits between Arid and the Queezes there. And also there's an Armored Wolf in the house. I think we're about to, looks like we're going to be breaking a record here. Again, they kind of change things around here. I'm not quite sure what record we're breaking here. But we broke one. It looks like it because I saw 100% flash by. I think I saw 100% flash by, so we'll do one of these again. Geez, sorry about that, Queez. Sorry about you. Well, yeah. There it is, coming right at ya. There's your hype train. Level 5. This boy Queez. Now, it wasn't the updates. Wasn't update hell, was it? Because I know that, well, that's what we have updates here and stuff, and I try to avoid those whenever possible, but of course you can't, right? You can only avoid them for so long. Let's see, okay. The Ikohoof, you definitely have my thoughts there for stuff that just comes out of nowhere, right? So Ikohoof, I'm definitely sorry to hear about that, because again, you're just minding your own business, going along, and all of a sudden, wait, what's this thing that just happened? And of course, it's not some little gradual, like, well, we have to watch this. It's kind of 0 to 1,000, just ambushing you like that. So really, really sorry that that's hitting you right now. Obviously, it's the last thing anybody needs. Well, okay, Queez. I mean, none of that sounds good, though. Never does. So thank you so much again, everybody, for the bitses. That's Grand Oracle and Arid and Queez all engaged in a healthy bits creek there. Now, you know what? Let's get a little bit of a yellowish tinge. We have all of that. Yeah, we have lots of the Van Dyke brown and stuff. So why don't we get a little bit of yellow in this too? Yeah, let's hopefully not too much of it there. Okay, well, let's try this. Let's try something like this. So thank you so much. So we're at 92% of whatever, again, whatever records they're talking about, right? So thank you so much, Grand Oracle and Blades. So again, everybody, let's please keep EcoHoof in our thoughts right there. Let's for sure do that. And it looks like we're going to have ourselves another one of these again. What could that be? What could that be? Is it going to be a Hype Angel or Hype Train? Angel, Train, Angel or Train. One or the other, or both. It's a Hype Angel Train. There it is. There it is. There it goes. Wow, okay, that's I guess it goes past, because does that say level 7? I think it says level 7. That's never happened. It always was just level 5. I'm not going to complain. Hey, Tea Kettle, how you doing? So, Tea Kettle, did I see that you were, what, 60 away from 200 followers? So if everybody could please give Tea Kettle a follow, then Tea Kettle could get to that 200 mark. Queez, believe it or not, both of them were gone on that cookie. I just happened to find the one. I don't even know how I managed to find the one, but yeah, they were both gone. I'm like, where the heck did they both go? But I found the one and was able to stick that one on there. But yeah, haven't found the second one yet. So yeah, Icahoof, that, I mean, when this whole thing started with Kathy, we thought, okay, maybe there was some kind of a certain disease that shall not be ever discovered where it came from or whatever, that sort of thing. And there was maybe the long form of it or whatever. And then we just go to the urgent care place for an x-ray. The next thing you know, I mean, they're literally like, you need to go to the emergency room now. It wasn't, well, go back to the house, collect some stuff. No, it was just go there now. And it's been like that ever since. And that was May. That was actually almost, 9 months ago now? Yeah, it was close to, well, 8 months ago. No, 9 months ago. Let's see. Oh, so they are limitless now, but the higher they get, the harder it is. So thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate that. Now you can see how it's got a little bit more of a tint to it. Now this, we're actually going to go back in here. We're going to take a little bit of this away. Just a little bit, and now we're going to try and get in there with some of our lighter colors here. So again, everybody, thank you so much for all the bits and cheers and subs, because you know that makes a big difference. We really do appreciate that. We've appreciated all the support that people have been giving us, well, for 8 months now. Because it was that sudden. It went from...
Hello, little hobbits. Fuck my gum.
Thank you so much, Terry. Appreciate that follow. Along comes again up and he says, you know, even though I've been off the pipe weed for a while, I still keep seeing things. It's like, I think I see a walking statue. He's like, so a walking, talking tree man is cool, but a statue can't be walking around. It's like, you got a point there. So thank you so much for that follow, Terry. Appreciate that. So Kago, that was just the same sponge that we always use. It's just a very light makeup sponge, whatever stuff that people use to get makeup off of their face and such. Oh geez, Arid, thank you. Thank you so much, Arid, for helping us with this. Again, these have been super, super helpful. And thank you so much, Irid. Appreciate that. Now, Irid, I don't know if you had a chance to post your jewelry or not. I don't think you have. there's there's been a little bit of activity, wouldn't you say, Irid? But yeah, if you wanted to post your jewelry and stuff, that would be fine. Hey, Kego, if you wanted to post your Mandalorian, that'd be fine. Ah, thanks, Blade. So this is from Mantic. It's Kings of War. Now, I don't know just how new this is. I'm not. It's newer. I don't know if it's like the latest, greatest thing or not, but I'm sure it's newer, at least. There. And everybody, please check out the Pinstagram, as we call it here, from Irid. And please give Irid Canwife a follow. So thank you so much, Irid. Appreciate that. Now, of course, oh gosh, unfortunately, that sale, uh, and here's the irony, it was on the Soraya Simple, which of course now they call water washable for some weird reason. It was on the Simple, but it was only for the Smoky Black. And as you can see, we've kind of changed over to the Simple Gray. So sadly, it was not the Simple Gray. I might still have to just go ahead and get some jars because we're running a wee bit low on our stuff there. Sorry, Irid. Hey, Nurgle Matthew, how you doing? Wait, let me scroll up here. So yeah, Grand Oracle, even just a little bit of that would definitely do the trick. Let me just, before we do the train, I want to make sure we didn't miss anything there. Yeah, so I'm just glad that you are, well, I mean, rid of the house. I don't know, that might be a more extreme way to express it, but I'm just glad you don't have to worry about that anymore. Because speaking of since May, right, Arid, that's been on your mind since May. All right, one more time with our Iron Horse here. One more Iron Horse. There it is. There it's coming right for you, right for you. There it is. Hype train. In the face. In the face. There it is. Hype train. One more hype train. So thanks so much for all the hype trains. It really does make a difference. I know that it may not seem like it, but oh, it does. It most certainly does make a big difference. So we appreciate that, everybody. And of course, Kathy appreciates that too. She's probably going to be going to bed pretty darn soon, I would say. I would say very soon she'll be heading off to sleep. Well, thanks, Queez. Boy, oh boy, we really hope that in addition to kind of, I don't know, maybe taking some of the mystery out of all the hobby stuff, that maybe make it a little bit more fun for people, right? Because, well, as evidenced by, actually, Tea Kettle, you've had some mischief there too, and just everybody seems to have so many crazy things going on lately. It would be nice if there was something that could give people some fun and maybe a little bit more of a chill, relaxed place to hang out. Let's see. Well, I'm glad. Boy, Grand Oracle, you had me extra scared for a second there. I thought you said heart pump system, and I'm thinking, holy smokes. I'm thinking power outages and heart pumps. So, not that the heat pump was that fun. That was no fun either, but boy, I was really going, holy smokes. So, thanks again, Eric. Really appreciate that. But I mean, there's not a lot of refuges from all of the insanity, is there? It just kind of it's always in the face. It's always in the face. Here, we try to maybe take some of that away. Now here we're gonna go even a little bit lighter. We could even zoom in a little bit for you. How about we zoom in just a bit more on this one area there? Hey Chris, nice to see you. Well, Kago, again, I appreciate what everybody has done. It really does make a colossal difference. Now this is going to be really light here. This is actually just the brilliant yellow pale and the fluorescent yellow too. This will be some of our, maybe a little bit of the radiant yellow at that. And it's also going to have to be essentially like a pin line wash here. Hey Dio, how you doing? Nice to see. If everybody could please give Diomedes Industries a follow, and of course, Dio, if you want to show off your wares there in the chat, please go ahead and do so. So glad to see you here, Dio. Well, Valfair, I'm glad that you can both get some fun out of it, and hopefully the incident from the weekend. Oh, and of course the glasses and everything that has been. Hopefully that's been recovered since then. Since what, the Saturday stream? Because that was the Saturday stream, wasn't it? When all that just kind of went kerplooey a little bit. Again, so I appreciate everybody here. There's really not been too many moments where we can really even take a breath. So we appreciate other folks that have made it so that we could at least have the possibility of maybe taking a breath here and there. Now, of course, this is all going to be super shiny and everything like that. Why? Because we just put that down here. After it sets here for a while, it's going to be a little bit less shiny and a little bit more malleable too. Yeah, Grand Oracle, that whole idea, right, of you keep the colors, that color contrast going, right? Cool versus warm, vice versa if need be. Here, let's a little bit of that down here on the base. We just don't want to forget about this. Not right now, anyways. We can come back and obviously do some more. We'll probably be doing some more pin line washes of a darker nature there too. I'm glad that all is better there, Valfera, because that was just, it was on top of so many other things. And it was literally on top of a bunch of other things, so felt really bad about that for you. Yeah, you know what? That should hit here too. That should still reach out to there. So again, you can see how that starts to impact things here. Oh, no problem, Arid. I'm sure, well, the shower and other such things would be, I'm sure, really nice right now. Now we're just going to get a little bit of some light here on that blade. We'll certainly be here. And again, we're just going to chuck ourselves a little bit of light up there. So that's doesn't take long to establish. This does it. So Grand Oracle, I would definitely suggest on the Lost Kingdom stuff, just bite the bullet, do the supports yourself. As much of a time waster as that is, because I was just talking about the Titan Forge stuff. Now that is something where you do not have to worry about the supports. They do a really good job on those every time. And we're talking about some pretty complex stuff. I will say this, they don't hollow things, so basically outside of Archvillain, the only other folks that I would trust to hollow anything might be Printing Goes Ever On. Not that many other folks even try to do that. Now, boy, Grand Oracle, you'll have to shoot me a picture of that, because I've actually, Grand Oracle, I've painted that a couple of times, well, the GW Green Knight. Now, is that just one from their My Mini factory, or is that from one of the pledge level? I don't remember or which what would you say? I don't remember which release that could be from. Chaos, glad that you're back. Hopefully maybe feeling a little bit better. So again, we don't want to have all of this like way up here, right? We want a little bit up there, not too much. We might do a little bit more up there. But why don't we also maybe start to think about some other stuff here, like maybe the some gold there, which maybe now we need to get into some of the Indian yellow, like so, up here. And then we might do some blue glow over there. Oh, so a Kickstarter. All right. Landrast. That must have been the thing. Remember Landrast, where you got the wings from, right? Must have been that same Kickstarter. Now I got all of the Chaos Dwarfs. Well, not all of it. Part of it was one of their releases, but then another batch of the Chaos Dwarf stuff, like all of the Bull Centaurs and the Great Taurus and such. That was those were things that I got off of their My Mini factory. So yeah, Groovy, the Lost Kingdoms tends to do the really. That's why the Chaos Dwarves were a bit of a surprise, because those were so beefy compared to what they usually do. I'd always wanted to print out the mushroom folks, but again, those are so dainty, so fragile, that I thought, that might not be the best idea. I mean, I might still try, especially that I'm just going to do my own supports for them. That might be a little bit different. And we have the gray resin. We didn't have that before. Now we're also going to have to get some green in here. So we have a whole bunch of metal-ish type things up here that we're going to try and do. And I think we'll try and work maybe some blues into that too. I don't know, but we'll make sure that this gets some kind of a metal look to it here. And I was thinking of doing some glowy stuff in the eyes, but not the flame color. Probably something that's definitely got more of the blue in it. Here, let's go back over the top of this with something that's a bit more orangey, not quite so yellow. There we go. Oh yeah, we have more of our metal over here too, which will also have to get some of that green in there. And then I think we'll do some indigo as well. Oh, that's got a little too much thinner in that. Let's cut down on the amount of thinner. Kego, it's it's like we have ourselves a blowtorch here. We can just set anything on fire, can't we? You know what? Maybe we'll do that also as metal. I wasn't going to do that originally as metal, but maybe I will. Just for funsies there. So Chaos, the gray resin, that's very specific. It's a certain type of resin that, well, first of all, you can use basically almost mostly water to clean it up, but it's also way more weather resistant, which in this environment is really, 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 really important. Let me see. Hey, Darling Creepshow. If everybody could please give Darling Creepshow a follow too, that would be magnificent, of course. So, Darling Creepshow, I hope that you're doing really well. Now, of course, we just saw Gandalf not long ago, right? And you wouldn't think that Amayar is just terrified of something. You might think that Amayar is scared of a Balrog, which, of course, we do have ourselves a new Balrog. That's all been cured. I'm going to try and get that prepped, so that's something maybe that we could potentially do a basing video on, and then maybe paint either in a tutorial video or on stream. So yeah, you think Balrog, right? Big and scary. Whoa, look at that. He's fire and flame and ash and shadow and all that kind of stuff. But once you see these guys, you'll realize that Balrog, Schmalrog, of course, because the mimes, yes, those are the mimes. They are far more terrifying than anything else that you're going to see in Moria. Why do you think the dwarves just hightailed it out of there? Because nobody wanted to get tossed. See, jetez-moi, that says toss me. So none of the dwarves wanted to get tossed, so they all hightailed it out of Moria on the double, for sure. Now, of course, our mimes were very fashionable. They were extremely fashionable. As you can see, they had chef's hats and berets, and actually one of them even had a little pink wig. I think that was Poirot, because he kind of looked like a judge. So, hey, Dig Betty, how you doing? Nice to see you. So yes, now the guy with the oven mitt, you can't say that he's necessarily the smartest goblin in the universe. And of course, I now have confirmation that Lutin is goblin in French because someone actually goes by goblin and they are French and their name is Lutin. So yes, that's a thing. Now, these two guys here, Francois and Pierre, of course, they were the true stars of the team. They were the true stars of the team, well, at least they thought they were. Now, of course, you know how we like our medicine here on the channel. Well, they are certainly fans of the medicine too. And as you can see right there, uh, clearly they're more of a fan of, say, a Pinot Noir or a Cabernet Sauvignon than they are perhaps the rough blocking and tackling. Yeah, that's not really their thing, is it? Not really. These guys were all metal because at the time there were no 3D printers, that's for sure. There were very few plastic goblins of any kind, so that meant, well, that meant a lot of hacking those things apart and then trying to do a lot of sculpting on them. So yes, that goes back a long way. 2006, had them for 2 seasons. They made the playoffs in both seasons. So Grand Oracle, have you ever seen not the armchair historian, uh, but he does, oh gosh, sorry that I'm really spacing on that, but he actually did for April Fools, he usually does different weapon systems and that sort of thing, historical analysis, right? And he did one on the Baguette Werfer, and it was done in a completely serious fashion, but yet all of the dialogue and the graphics were completely ridiculous, but it looked like it was serious. And it even had Kathy laughing. And when Kathy laughs at a 15-minute video of about just like historical military equipment, then you know that had to be fun. So, so yeah, quiz. Now, of course, we do actually have. Now, do I have one of those here? Yes, I do. We have this little Hotchkiss here. Now, originally, I was going to try and do some of these this week, but we have this Hotchkiss, we have the Samwa, and we also have the Laughley anti-tank vehicle. Now you can see, right, we're starting to get some shiny here, a little bit of shiny. Ah, so Kathy can attest. See, there's Kathy. Everybody say hello to Kathy in the chat. Everybody say hello to Kathy. And she can say that she did see the Baguette Werfer. There was also another one that looked like a giant kangaroo, but I don't remember exactly what that one was. Now we're going to try and get a little bit of our brilliant yellow pale out here into some of these areas here. Hey there, Loim. How you doing? Well, now that's interesting. So Kathy gets a gift sub courtesy of Blades. So Nurgle Matthew, I hope that you're doing well. And yeah, everybody say hello to Kathy. And Loim, thank you so much for joining us here. Yeah, let's get a little bit of our light here, and then we'll come back with some more of our darks too. So everybody say hello to Kathy. Let's see, it's 9:59, so she's probably going to be heading off to sleep soon. So everybody, you should get in your goodbyes now, or hellos, or both. You can say hello and goodbye. Yeah, oh yeah, this is where we're could really use some more light, some more reflected light in there too. Let's see, you know what? Let's do that. I wasn't originally going to do this, but I'm going to do that now. Get some more light on this side over here. So Kathy did just brush her teeth there. So again, everybody, please say hello to the Kathys. I don't think Arid went off to do some lurky things, right? Oh well. But anyway, thank Arid for the donation too. Now we're gonna get some more darks in there. So yep, Queez and Valfera have located Kathy. Also, looks like Grand Oracle was located by Kathy. You know what? These we might just make those areas lighter right now, and then we'll just we'll hit them again with something else. Just for now, we're gonna make those lighter because we know we would probably want to do some kind of source lighting there, I think. So again, Ico, that we wish you the best in all that stuff, especially again being so sudden like that, just out of nowhere, just ambushing you like that. Wow, there's an awful lot of. Now, of course, they showed them as being more stone-like. Here, we'll just we'll paint them up as metallic because I think that could be much more interesting. So there's the Megans, and again, everybody, please please give Megan the follow there. Let's bring in just a little bit of that brilliant yellow pale there. Not too much. I think everywhere else we're gonna actually want to use maybe a radiant blue and radiant green on this to keep that a little bit more on the neutral side. I think so. So Groovy may or may not have a little treasure trove of some old metals there. I tell you, when I paint those Chaos Door, the old big hats there, it's going to be really weird because the last time I painted Chaos Dwarves of any kind, they were the old metal GW Chaos Dwarves. Those are the only kind I've ever painted. So that's going to be pretty freaky, handling Chaos Dwarves that A, don't weigh a ton, that also are going to have a whole bunch of details on them because, well, they're 3D printed and not just ancient metal figures from a bazillion years ago. And again, for all the folks that maybe are on the East Coast or something, I mean, it is Monday, I understand that. And people want to get their sleep. And why don't we go even a bit lighter here? But now, unlike all that pinline wash stuff, we're going to go strong with some actual thicker paints here. Why? Because that's actually going to stick there. Yes, we can go even lighter there. Alright, so everybody say good night to Kathy because she's heading off to sleep. Of course, you have to do it in true Family Von Trapp fashion. Yes, so you have to sing the So Long Farewell song somehow in the chat. You have to figure out how to do that. Now, so Kathy seems to have pledged her allegiance to Gondor. So apparently Kathy is a Gondalorian at heart. And of course, those of us that hail from the lands of Rune, we are the Easterling persuasion. Now, of course, we can't have any of the music, but are we gonna have to have like a some kind of? We're not gonna, well, we need a what's her name dancing across the screen. That's what we need. Now, of course, I think Kathy and I we were trying to write a Valheim version of "The Hills Are Alive," and I think it was supposed to be like "The Hills Are Alive" with the sound of Grey Dwarves or something like that. And Kathy actually came up with at least one verse of "The Hills Are Alive," but in Valheim fashion. So yeah, that was what we were I think doing last night or the night before was trying to come up with lyrics for a Valheim version of "The Hills Are Alive." So that's a project everybody get into there. Thank you so much, Living Frost. That's it. Oh, the sun has gone to bed, and so must I. I think that's how that goes. Groovy, what's interesting is, well, of course, I told the story of I was printing out the Great Taurus from Lost Kingdoms, and as literally as I was walking by with the tray of printed pieces that I was going to wash off, my sweatshirt hooked on the wing of the Forge World Great Taurus, and the thing went crashing to the floor and was broke into a bunch of pieces, which was just bizarre that it was that figure with the figure that I had in my hands. That was crazy. So I guess now I don't know just as far as copyright things go to have a certain actress dancing across the bottom of the screen singing. Well, obviously not singing the music, but we could at least have the animation maybe. But I don't know how to make those animations, so that would be for somebody to explain to me how that worked, because that I don't know. All right, well, Valfira, here, let me zoom out here so we can get you. We haven't actually done a film noir yet, so here, let's see just how much that shows up when we do this. So there's a little bit more of it here. I mean, you can see there's some, but boy, it's nowhere near as noticeable, is it? Because I'm here, look. Now that we have all this other light that's starting to appear right here, nowhere near as noticeable. That's just, it's always fascinating, right, Valfera? It just never ceases to amaze how, when we bring back the actual color, blammo, right? Oh, that's right. Didn't we say that Williamsburg paints have blammo in them? Except they turned us down for that ad campaign because they didn't want to promote like the idea that their stuff is flammable. So yeah, the blammo campaign seems to have it hasn't taken hold. We'll put it that way. Now I'm gonna grab me some of this here, Prussian blue, a little bit of, well, not that much of the radiant turquoise. But on this thing, maybe we'll try and get ourselves something that's a little bit less of just the same tans and other things. So Val Ferret, we are going to wish you the best of luck with the sleepings there. We wish you all the best with that. I know it's you can have the all the intent you want to. I'm going to get me some sleep tonight, and then the body just kind of says, nope, no, I've got other ideas. I've got other plans for you. But here's hoping that you can triumph over that tonight, and to Kathy as well. Now I can say that I don't think we're going to be streaming still at 3 in the morning because I have a whole bunch of other work that has to be done. So I don't think that's going to be happening. Oh, geez. Oh, that's... and of course there's the... Oh, yeah, the Lord Croak, right? Now, the only Lord Croak I've ever had is the one that I sculpted myself. Where the heck did he go? Oh, well, he's not as far away as I thought. There he is. And that was all done with Sculpey. I mean, obviously that would be way easier now with, say, epoxy sculpt or whatever. But that was all done with Sculpey clay. Well, we're talking about 2004, maybe? I don't know, something like that. So we go over again. I do hope that there can be some sort of resolution there without the more extreme side of things. Now, look what we got here. We have kind of a cooler light, then almost a band. We're going to darken that up some more. Sort of a gold banded. This is going to be a bit darker, but now we need some reflected light here, and that's actually going to be more of a greenish tint right there. So see these alternating bands of light and dark? Oh, and of course, let's not forget, we did an entire Empire of Dust fleet, right? We had a blast with those. Really enjoy that. You can see some more of them. Where's my group? There you go. So you can see a little bit more of that Empire of Dust fleet. We did those all on stream. So if you want to check out all those painting sessions of all the Armada stuff, all you got to do is just go through, look back at some of the past sessions, and you'll find it there. I think I might have even done a painting video for the Patreon page of some Empire of Dust too. We still do have a few Empire of Dust ships left. There's some tiny ones, and then another smaller one. So yeah, Groovy. Well, I also scratch sculpted my own engines of the gods. And of course, what's funny is that I scratch sculpted my own Great Beast of Golgoroth for my Lord of the Rings stuff. We actually sculpted that on the channel here. And then sure enough, the printing goes ever on. They didn't just do one Great Beast of Golgoroth. They didn't stop at two. They have three Great Beasts of Golgoroth and counting. So I'm not going to complain. I'm always happy when any of our digital sculpting friends take care of our Middle Earth needs, but holy smokes. Alright, well, Queez, I know it's getting awful late there, and sorry about all the mischief with the computers there. But Queez, thanks for everything, as always. Appreciate you being here. Well, hopefully we'll see you guys, well, at least on Thursday. And best of luck with everything. Now, this is basically all it is. That is the Radiant Violet and a little bit of the Van Dyke Brown, and that's it. That's it. Oh, and by the way, 1 hour 13 minutes ago, this said no paint on it. There was no object source lighting. There was no shading of any kind. There was no burgeoning gold non-metallic metal. It was all just, well, not there. So good night, Dirk Queez. Appreciate you guys. You know what? I think I will try and throw a little bit of the light there. Now around this, we're gonna have to get some dark there, and I might just throw some indigo into this. Well, indigo, some of our black. And I'm just gonna take that and go boom right around that. Same there. Also, this is just a simple dry brush. It's an awful lot like we did to the horsies. Let me make sure I can grab one of... Nope, not one of those. One of these. Oh, wrong horsey. Never mind. Remember when we did the dark green dry brush stuff on the fur right there of our horse? Very much the same idea. maybe we'll also throw a little bit of our dry, brushy, darker stuff there. Here's another area we needed some. That might also get some of our orange too. As in, not the flame orange, but something a little bit different. Now we're going to try and also work in a little bit more shadow right here. Because you can have object source lighting on something that is a lighter color, but you need to make sure you get shadows on that. So we could make this a lighter stone color as long as, and especially in this area here, see that dark is right next to our firelight. That's going to be super important. Maybe we'll darken this up a little bit to maybe a little, almost like some weathering potentially. Maybe a bit of weathering there. Now, if we wanted to make these runes or the glyphs glowing on here, we'd probably just do some pin line washes for that. I think would probably be the best way to go about that. Now I'm going to try and, again, look where my hand is on this brush. See that it's nowhere near that magic ferrule of the brush, nowhere close to it. Yet it's very easy to get all kinds of precise brush strokes, right? If I have my death grip on the brush, how am I supposed to do that exactly? Well, besides not. Wouldn't be able to do that. Now, I was expecting for the Thursday stream to be painting some more, another 2D painting of a wolf, but it could be some miniatures. It kind of depends what I'm able to get prepped. And it also is going to depend because Wednesday is supposed to be another treatment session. I really don't know what I'm going to be running into on Thursday. I think the one thing we can guarantee is it's going to be a late night session like Thursdays usually are. Boy, we're really going strong here on the Radiant Violet. I don't know. Why not? Why not strong on the Radiant Violet? It's not white, I'll tell you that. I mean, eventually I can grab some of the white, but for now, I prefer to stick with the Radiant Violet. Something that has a color to it. When we were doing those, I almost said Sunspear, when we were doing those Starfall Nights, if you remember, there came a time where I was looking for something that was neutral, something that didn't have a tint of magenta or violet or green, and then we went ahead and we used the fast matte white there, mostly because I wanted the neutrality of it, not because I needed the lightness of it. Because we actually mixed it with the indigo. So yeah, it wasn't really about something that was going to have that much more lightness than, say, one of our radiants. It does, because these radiant colors, they're not straight up white by any stretch of the imagination. Now, I also don't want to go too bonkers with highlights on this, because if our highlights on the stone are lighter than our firelight, well, our firelight doesn't look so bright anymore, does it? It's going to look kind of dingy. So we don't want that to happen. More you know what? See, we have radiant green and radiant violet mixing together to suddenly create a radiant gray. Might go a little smidge lighter on our floor here, which again, it's very simple. It's bulletin board cork and it's some of the Egyptian texture roller from Green Stuff World, which is been rolled to the gray extra firm Sculpey, not the white Sculpey, not the super Sculpey, but the gray extra firm. I cannot emphasize that enough. Also, use a ceramic tile. Don't use one of those metal cookie trays. For the simple reason that, well, two reasons. They transfer way more heat to the Sculpey, and since your Sculpey is going to be very thin, that's not great. Also, those cookie sheets, they tend to bend and flex and all that kind of when they get into the oven, which means that your Sculpey sheets are going to be not quite flat, are they? Hey, Elite, how you doing? So, Elite, it had been so long since I last did object source lighting, as in a couple of weeks. I was barely recognizing the channel anymore, so I thought, oh, we have to do object source lighting. So yeah, we're doing some object source lighting now, cause it's been a shockingly long time since we last did object source lighting. Again, if it's more than a matter of days, that's kind of terrifying that we wouldn't have object source lighting. Katarina, I would prefer to use one of those even than a cooking, one of those metal sheets. Now, the one thing is, though, you probably wouldn't want to be making pizzas on that afterwards. So basically, what you use for your Sculpey should just stay with the Sculpey. That's another reason why I recommended a ceramic tile. Because, well, you're not going to cook with a ceramic tile. And that way that's kind of set aside for your Sculpey. So yeah, Elite, I mean, this is the object source lighting channel after all. Of course, it's also a cavalry channel, a Lord of the Rings channel, a Song of Ice and Fire channel, culinary channel, exercise channel, home repair, life coaching, basing channel, sculpting channel, a cookie decorating channel. We might do one or two different things here. Well, Loim, you have a good night. You have yourself a good night there at Loim, and of course, Loim, I'm going to try and what I want to try and do is start finding texture rollers that I can print out. Well, actually, if I find any interesting designs, I'll also let you know if I find something that's interesting. But I think it's time to start looking for printable texture rollers. I mean, we love the Green Stuff World ones, but who knows, there might be other, well, we could also change the sizes of them. So let's say I wanted to do something for a large scale or something much smaller scale. Well, that would work better than just always the same size. Oh, thank you so much, Bench Guy. Bench Guy gets off of the bench and gets into the game. Thank you so much, Bench Guy, and welcome back. Ooh, so Armored Wolf says that there is a Kickstarter for texture rollers that's currently underway. Well, Armored Wolf, does it look interesting? It looks like it has some promise to it. I wonder what, well, I would imagine that it's probably got that variety of textures too. Some are sci-fi, some are fantasy, some, I guess, borderline on the historical maybe. Now here we're throwing in some green right there. Let's get into some darks into this. Actually, let's maybe zoom in a little further. There. Let's get a little smidge closer, shall we? We've got brown matter here. And some of the Egyptian violet too. So Loim, always great to see you here. Sorry that stream started a little bit later, maybe about a half an hour later than I was hoping that it would. Again, I know it's Monday, and I know people have got to get themselves some sleep. Let's continue with this Egyptian violet here, like so. And Not looking to do an outline necessarily. But this is it's a cast resin piece, and it is Kings of War. And again, the miniatures, they're really fun, they're really nifty, but they're not always going to be the most perfect of casts, and maybe not always the most highly detailed. It's the nature of things. So chaos, it will depend on a few things. Part of it, obviously, part of it is a realism thing, right? But you also have to sometimes just say, okay, I want a little bit up here, even though maybe it shouldn't reach up here technically. But I mean, it is a giant walking statue, so there's that too. But sometimes it's just down to, okay, I would really like to have some of this light up here, because otherwise it's a big old boring stone shape. So even though maybe that much orange, I might even go further with it, just because the interest kind of suggested that would be better. Not necessarily that's how it would look, because again, you wouldn't necessarily have giant walking statues cruising around either. So it's very much dependent on the figure itself. Same thing on the floor here. I might continue it further along here. If anything else, well, I also want to cast a shadow maybe of his feet there. But it might have as much to do with just, again, creating a little bit of interest there as it does that's how it should look. Now, of course, obviously on my Moria army and my Khazad-dûm army with the that kind of off-camera lighting, it's a little bit different than, say, what we did with our Dunlendings and our Wolves of Isengard, because obviously there we have much more intense lighting. That maybe wouldn't quite be the case if there were such things as orcs on wargs running around. In this neighborhood, I haven't seen too many of those. Now, that's not to say that, I don't know, maybe in Wisconsin or something like that, you might see those guys cruising around. I don't know. But they might be more on snowmobiles, I guess. Now, this, of course, as always, we just did some film noirs. Now, here we're doing this. We're actually making some things darker. That's what we're actively engaged in right now. We're going to be doing that for a little while here, because without dark, you have no light. But, having said that, there is more to the contrast than just light versus dark. And we're certainly bringing in color intensity and temperature, right? We have a dingy brown, and we have this super high-powered orange. You can't get much more intensity and temperature contrast than that. Now we also have metal. And guess what? The metal is going to have to reflect not just the surroundings, but also that fire. All right, so here, let's get back to this here. And now that with this zoomed in here, let's do a quick film noir to show that, well, it just kind of looks like there's a big white blob on his leg instead of overall lighting. You don't see anything up here, right, on this deal? You don't see anything there. Now, as we bring back this color, you can start to see the orange taking effect there. So that is not even this, right? No, it doesn't look as light here. It's that color difference. This is not just darker, but it's also very dingy looking by comparison to all this, for sure, right? Is this something to ponder? Just something to think about. So yeah, and I know people say, well, the cloak is white, and he has a white, glowing white whatever, sword or staff. Well, why don't you go into a darkened room, shine a flashlight on yourself wearing a white t-shirt, and you'll see that, well, gee whiz, there's quite a bit of shadow that happens there. So just because it's white doesn't mean that it is white. Well, Tea Kettle, I hope that you have yourself a good night's sleep. And of course, Tea Kettle, if you wanted to post anything in the chat there, any of your stuff, and of course, everybody, please give Tea Kettle a follow because you're what 60 away from 200, right, Tea Kettle? So let's hopefully we can get Tea Kettle to that magic 200 number, of course. We want to see that happen. So Sunny Boy, nice to see ya. Now this is a bit more of a pin line wash that's happening here. Same over here too. It's a Van Dyke Brown, Egyptian Violet together. And again, how long have we been working on this? 1 hour, 30 minutes. Hour and a half ago. There was nothing here. There was no shading, no metallics, no object source lighting. There was absolutely nothing here. None of this existed an hour and a half ago. No layers. No layers, right? We did our pre-glaze. We wiped some of that away. Then we did some of our sort of dry, brushy stuff over the top of that with the lighter colors, with the filberts. So we started changing the colors in some areas to things that had some gold in it. Now here we're going to darken this down a smidge too, because the darker this is, lighter his eyes are going to look, which actually is another thing I want to do is see if we can get maybe some bluish color in his eyes there. Oh, they have a special guest book there in the paint area. Oh, and so thanks so much, Ickelhoof. So again, in the hobby area, in the Fort Wapple area there at Adepticon, there'll be kind of a best wishes book. So thanks for thinking about us there, Ickelhoof. I know you've got your own things to think about for sure. Now here, look at this. In comparison, again, plenty of shading there, right? You would almost think that that has object source lighting on it. It almost has more light than this does, or as much light. But again, this is very dingy as far as that color goes. And then over here, super intense color. So thank you so much, Eiko. We appreciate that. Again, we wish that we could be there. It's just even if it were physically possible, it would be kind of a hazardous thing. So it may still not work out, unfortunately. Well, most likely will not. You know what? I'm going to find me something like this. We need to start getting a blending brush out here. That's what we need. So Dig Batty, it kind of depends. Now in the late night hours, there's always going to be a little more space. There wasn't so much the last year we were there, but Adepticon is it's way bigger because our first year was 2007, and it has increased massively. I mean, it is gigantic compared to what it was back in the 2007 days. I mean, I remember in 2007 the vendor hall was 2 folding tables, and Alan just kind of sitting behind there with a bunch of Forge World books looking really sleepy. That was the vendor hall. It's changed a bit since then. It's grown just a smidge. Holy smokes. Dick Betty, that was so that was. So, oh gee, I was gonna say 13 years ago, but no, that was 16 years ago. Holy smokes! Ah, boy, Dig Betty, do you remember the old hotels? Remember the abandoned? They had, I think it was the fantasy tournament and Lord of the Rings were both held out in the parking lot in a tent, and of course it was snowing. Hey, Tremo, nice to see ya. Boy, Dig Betty, I have to say, there's definitely a part of me that wishes I would have thought of using the oil paints way back then. Because holy smokes, that would have saved me some time, let me tell you. Oh, that would have saved me a lot of time over the years. But better late than never, right, Dig Betty? So Tremo, nice to see you back. I just keep thinking of all of those, all the 40K armies and, well, even all the fantasy stuff. Well, especially, I mean, this is fluorescent oil paints. It's not just, of course, we did a lot of stuff with the fluorescent acrylics, but yeah, we can do the same thing with the oils. So Tremo, was that? I know it was the fantasy tournament for sure because Marty and Kimberly in there, and I swear, Dig Betty, that people were setting fire to their army list just to stay warm and just to kind of keep the hypothermia at bay. And that was like in April, or maybe it was April 1st or 2nd or something like that, and it was snowing because, well, that's Chicago for you, right? Ah, boy, Dig Betty, that was what's weird, Dig Betty, is that you go on Cool Mini and it still looks just the same. It looks the same as it did back in 2002, 2003 when we first really started posting stuff there. Working on figure out some paints for a project. Well, Trim, I hope that you can. Well, don't fuss, don't fret about it too long, right? Yeah, and it was well, huge surprise. It was a tornadic wind in the parking lot, right? As always. So that there was stuff being blown all over inside the tent. I think they even tried to bring heaters out there. Yeah. So for the folks coming to Adepticon that may not be familiar with Chicago, be prepared for 80 degrees, be prepared for 15 degrees, be prepared for snow, be prepared for 50 to 70 mile an hour winds, or all of the above on the same day. And as Big Dig Betty says, they're dressed in layers. Well, Dig Betty, can you imagine if there was something like this back then? Right? I mean, even there wasn't even YouTube. Let's see, was it? It was 2012, I think, when I started the YouTube channel. There wasn't even something like that. All you had was just you could maybe post your articles there. Well, and that was it. And of course, we were really glad. We were very grateful for people that would post those, and well, that's where we learned about basing. Certainly is from there. So blades, the aspect of that wind there that is crucial. And having done the same thing myself, you have all these people with army boards that are made of foam, and they're not necessarily designed for the impact of that kind. We're talking sustained winds too. We're not talking about there's a little bit of a gust for 2 minutes. We're talking about 50-mile-an-hour winds for 3 days, non-stop. And they're just they get worse, but they certainly don't get any better. Yeah, so Dig Betty, it's been years and years since I last been in the Reaper forums, but those seem to look very much the same as they did back in the day. All right, so Ikuhoof, well, I'll try to remember if she comes back in here again. I don't think she will because I don't think she'll be waking up. Yeah, we should be done before she wakes up again. I'll make sure not to flub the word. Yeah, so Blades, you will see armies, boards, figures just airborne, as in flying across the parking lot. So that's just to batten down the hatches. Now, of course, the hotel before this one, of course, it took us years to figure it out, but there was an indoor parking garage. So you could actually go from the parking garage into the hotel with your army without getting buffeted by the massive winds. Ironically enough, the name comes from City Hall. Yes, it comes from City Hall and all of the politicians, well, basically, shall we say, spreading wind in City Hall. So that's actually where the actual name is from. But of course, it's the reason it was so appropriate is because it's super windy all the time. So I don't remember who came up with that, but it's a dual purpose nickname. It covers all the windiness and, well, all the windiness. I know that in Oklahoma, well, in Iowa too, I think we heard that there was a wee bit of wind there too. Now, Blades, are you going to be doing the shuttle or something like that? Because I know there's some shuttles. The thing about driving to Adepticon is that parking lot is going to be full. And by full, I mean totally full. So you either have to get there really early in the day or have a bulldozer and move all the other cars out of the way. So, Mafi, how you doing? So, Mafi, we're doing from Kings of War. This is part of the Empire of Dust, and we're just a little bit of quick object source sliding. Nothing too crazy, just some fun. So again, it's part of the Empire of Dust. Obviously, the Mantic version of the Tomb Kings. So everybody, please give Muffy a follow, and of course, Muffy, as always, if you wanted to post any links in the chat, that would be spectacular. So Tony, yeah, well, Blades, have fun with Tony there, geez, and again, we'll miss everybody there. We would really, really, really prefer to be there than here, of course, for sure. So yeah, thanks, Mafi. Yeah, we finished off that unit of cavalry, which let's get the right one here. There it is. So we finished off the movement tray and the banner bearer last night there. Actually, we can zoom out here and you can see a bit more of it. There we go. The Daz air dry clay on the bases and the movement tray, and of course the 3D printed palm trees, which that was really, really, really fun. Really enjoy painting these guys. So that's yet another. Here, we'll zoom in a bit now. Maybe we'll just go that far. And so Mafia, again, if you wanted to share some links to what you've been working on, sure everybody will get a kick out of seeing that. Hopefully your stream was a blast, of course. Well, that's good, Blades. So he's going to be very, 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 very busy, right, doing his charity stream the entire time. I mean, we were looking forward to that too, because I was actually the last person on his stream, and of course he was completely wiped out. That was the unique situation where I had a voice and he didn't. That was Armored Wolf being a genius there and finding that that microphone system that I could wear on my belt. That was glorious. I loved that thing. Doji, how you doing? So Doji, I actually had tried to get started on the next video or the next army painting series. So here's the big hats. This is going to be a very interesting kind of movement trace type thing because we will have, I think it's going to be 10 of the infantry with the champion, banner bearer, and such. We're going to have this guy with a couple of guys kind of holding him down with these chains, and then we're also going to incorporate some of these too. So it's going to be quite the interesting movement tray filled with figures and lots of freehand too, of course, because freehand, right? I hope that it's been a decent, well, decent Monday and a happy Tuesday, because for you, it is already Tuesday. Now, so Blades, now did you sign up for a bunch of miniature painting classes, or are you just gonna kind of try and take it chill? And maybe just do one or two or something like that. I know people really want to try and take as many classes as they can because they don't know when they get the chance again. But overdoing it, you end up, well, you get so exhausted you won't remember anything. You will literally tire yourself out and you'll forget more than you learn. I know the temptation again is to have just tons of classes, just stack up 20 hours of classes every day. And that sort of sounds like a good plan. It really, it's a plan that just doesn't work. Doji, they should be very, very, very simple. You know, nothing fancy, just something like this, right? Keep it nice and simple. So yeah, Dig Batty, I heard there was a lot of mischief there, and that's that they've been using those guys for years now. But I guess it was some physical thing that happened with Cvent, and that just caused all kinds of mayhem. Yeah, Doji again, just a little light freehand. Doji actually had to dig out the MDF. So it'll be the first time I've used MDF on a movement tray. That should be interesting. Of course, we'll be combining that with the Sculpey and such. I think it should be an interesting little project now. I'm going to take some indigo here. Yeah, that's some indigo. We have nothing but light here. I'll try and darken some of these areas. Well, we have mid-tones. we have mid-tones all over the place. We're also going to try and get some gold on there too, I think. Yeah, I think we'll do that. That should help make some of that stand out a little bit more. Yeah, well, Dig Batty, that's what is amazing about Adepticon, right? I know other folks. So there's other conventions that are bigger, Gen Con and all that. They're bigger, but none of those focus on miniatures the way Adepticon does. I mean, absolutely none of those at all. Not even close, right? Now, you know what's interesting, Dig Batty, is I believe the folks that have, all those bins where people would just kind of sit there and be hunting through those bins, the big plastic bins. I'm pretty sure they're still there after all these years. Well, there's not only are they still there, but I think they even have a bigger space now after all this time. So yeah, they're still there. I can't imagine they wouldn't be. And again, I think they have even a larger area than they used to. So Chaos, that's the one in DC, I would imagine. Now here we've got some of this much lighter stuff here. We'll have to come back with some Indian yellow and other things on these sickles over here, just to kind of create the impression of some lighter tones. Wow, geez, Doji, that's quite the and that's quite the journey right there. Well, I sure hope that he enjoys those classes. And again, I wish we could be there. I pretty much knew right away that doing classes was going to be out of the prospect of possibility. I thought at least we could be there, but again, that just I would not count on that in any way, shape, or form. Doji, that is definitely quite the investment. I hope that they get a lot out of it for sure. Now here, see the lights there. The light here is obviously very warm from this. If we do the film noir thing, right, you're not going to see any of that color there. So it'll just be the lights and darks. All I want to do is a little bit of that lighter stuff get into there. Here, we'll just take this. Tone that down a little bit. Blades, to be honest, that is the much more chill way to do things because those classes, I mean, some of them are 4-6 hours long. That's a big part of your day. And Blades, the other thing to take into account is that people will be, well, they might be in classes themselves, they might be in tournaments or whatever. So sometimes, well, it makes you have a much more flexible schedule so that you can just kind of chill out and make sure you can hang out with folks. Well, Dick Betty, now I think you've heard me talk about what I do here, right? With both of my elbows sitting on one of those foam type things that people use for keyboards so that they don't get carpal tunnel syndrome. Both elbows are sitting on that hack. This hand, right now, it's sitting on the table. So that hand, my elbow's on that foam thing, my hand is on the table, and this hand is just sitting on top of that hand. So unless somebody comes up here and shakes the table or the floor underneath the table, that's going to be, there's no freestanding nature to that. It's just all kind of supporting itself. So I don't know if that could be something that could be helpful for you in terms of not having to worry so much about the shaky shakes. So yeah, at first I thought, well, okay, if I'm not doing classes, at least that means I get more chance to hang out in Fort Wapple, which happens never, except for the late night hours. So yeah, that was the time that I always got a chance to actually see people, was in those late night hours, the overnight hours. We can get a little bit lighter there. Dig Betty, I wish there was some sort of a rig or a mechanism or something like that that you could use for when those things really, really, really are acting up. But like you say, maybe to say, well, okay, it's not going to be painting tonight. It's puzzle time instead. Now you can see with the darks there, we're getting some of our contrast. Now let's change a bit here. Some turquoise down in here. Now Doji did. I'm guessing. What? Here's the other thing too, Doji. some of those classes are pretty darn expensive. Like those full immersion ones that I guess are, there's some classes that are the entire weekend. It's something like 6 or 8 hours a day every day for the entire weekend. Now, I don't know if they're doing something like that, because that also can't be the cheapest thing in the world, right, Doji? Now Big Daddy, hopefully, gee whiz, it's not like there's a PT or something like that. I guess maybe there is something that can maybe minimize things, but obviously not reverse things. And I'm sure none of those are fun to do in any way, shape, or form. Oh, it's almost like a steady cam rig. Blades, it sort of depends. Because I know that there were people on the wait list for mine. And it also depends when the class is. So if it's one of those Sunday morning classes, that's probably more likely. Or maybe even a Saturday night class, or basically days where there might be tournaments going on. So there's kind of some prime times, and then there's some other times where there's not quite as many, or there's more to where people might be distracted and have to be somewhere else. So they are going to be pretty long. Yeah, I know that again. There's some folks that take classes there that just are. Whew. Now I had the one 4 hour class. The other two were 2 hour classes. I was thinking of making one of them potentially a 6 hour, and then just not doing this. I would just do like the 1 6 or 2 4s. I think it was gonna be a couple of fours, and that would be it. Because I was not gonna be doing any more Sunday morning classes. The logistics of that, not really possible. So Armored Wolf says that, well, yeah, there you go. So you can also check out what Armored Wolf has there advice-wise when it comes to the classes. I can say from the perspective of the teacher, it can be quite interesting to see this whole crowd of people outside the door, and you're thinking, this is a 10-person class. Why are there 15 people outside the door? And that would be the people that we're kind of hoping in terms of waiting lists to try and get in there. Now, oh, what the heck? I'm going to throw a little bit of the Terra Rosa and some of the Egyptian Violet together to make sort of an amber color that's going to go in here. So again, we have a lot of middle tone. We even have some of the highlight, but we don't have those all-important darks there. This one for sure. Then we have to get some reflected light in there too. Again, a little bit of the Egyptian Violet, such as it is. Oh, so Samlands and air. Okay, and like I said, I'm sorry that I was not able to do classes. I know folks that took them last year. Huge surprise. We did two classes on oil painting, and the third one was on basing. I know that will shock everyone here. Wait, you did a class on basing? That's totally shocking. But that was also, oh yeah, that's was it Thursday, Armored Wolf, that you and I were in Fort Wapple, and we made, what was it, 36 containers? Or was it Wednesday? Might have been Wednesday that we made 36 containers of those, of the alternate, not uh, AK Interactive or MIG ammo or Vallejo texture paste. Alright, well, Echo, if you have a good one, and thanks so much, appreciate it. And of course, I'll try to be totally mum's the word on that. So thanks, I appreciate you doing that, Echo, and of course, we wish you all the best too on top of that. So, hey, Silly Moss, nice to see you. So, just whoop Helios. Uh, Speaking of cool mini or not, it goes back to all the way back to the very first days of Cool Mini or Not. And you had to have a name, and we used to play, oh gosh, what was that called? Circus Maximus. And you had to give your driver a name, so I called mine Wapelius. Not only did I get stuck because of Cool Mini, but that also was my eBay name. Then it ended up being the name of my blog. It became the name of everything, so it's ever since we've just stuck with that. So be careful what name you choose, because you might be stuck with that for quite some time. So Dig Batty, actually, if you try too hard to stabilize that in some kind of device, does it actually end up hurting more? Because the nerves are gonna do what the nerves are gonna do, and if you've confined your hand into some kind of a contraption, I would imagine that would be a little bit of an owie right there. Now we're going to get a little bit more of our light going. Hey, you can see here. Let me. Oh, I can zoom in one more. That's good. There we are. Now I can only imagine, Dig Betty. Ooh, yeah. Let's get the kind of light along that edge there, and light along that edge there. Well, blades. I mean, if obviously long before there is the Adepticon, if it looks like there's anything that's positive in that direction, well, it's not like we don't talk every day. I'll try and make sure that you have a heads up on that. Oh, this needs to be more light right there too. Now I had thought about doing some of the blue here. Not going to do that. We'll just leave it be essentially some kind of metal trim and decoration on stone, I think. Now, of course, if you look at the box art, they pretty much just treated that all as stone. Ironically enough, they treated this as cloth, which is hilarious because it does have cracks going through it. So Groovy has been stuck since 1995 with that one. So yeah, when you pick a name, you better like it, because let's put it this way, changing I know people say on Twitch or on Instas or YouTube they change the name of their whatever. That can be really confusing, especially if people have known it for, well, the longer they've known it as a certain thing, guess what? The longer you're stuck with it. Ah, boy, Dig Batty, I'm almost... I just wish that, well, part of me was wishing that, well, miniatures would be a little bit larger for you. Now, even conquest scale, once there's the shakes happen, and the thing could be 2 feet tall, right? It wouldn't really matter. But obviously, with Lord of the Rings scale stuff, I'm sure that would just be extra difficult, because it's just that much smaller. Harvest Machina, well, that is definitely familiar. It's kind of wild, Dig Batty, to see all of the changes in the industry. I never would have imagined back then, especially somebody as obsessed with basing as I am, that I could just be printing out hundreds and hundreds of basing bits at all different sizes for whatever scale I needed, and then these texture roller things. Because if you remember those, the early uh, basing videos for the painting pyramid, is me basically carving bases, or the Tomb Kings, right? Dig Batty, remember those Tomb Kings with all the carved bases that I did? That didn't have to be carved. Well, Blades, it's oh yeah, it's after midnight there. After midnight there. So Blades, thanks for all the cheers, the subs, the bits, of course. And here's hoping things are going well for you. Well, I'll give you some updates tomorrow when I know what's going on. We're just trying to see to make sure that the Wednesday treatment thing is still going to happen. It's kind of on the edge of maybe, maybe not right now. So I'll try and shoot you a message. Well, and for sure, if you're getting messages from me during the day on Wednesday, you'll know that, well, we were doing it. Because that is one time where I sort of can message people a bit. During the day, anyways. Well, Dig Batty, he was really, wouldn't you say that Cyborg really was the trendsetter there, doing the digital sculpting? And I'm sure Cyborg says, well, I, I could have gotten a million super high quality printers for what he probably paid for his first one. Because it's always that way with technology, right? So Blades, again, take care. And of course, good luck with the Cooper and the, well, hopefully not allergies. We'll just hope that that's not the case. We are going to say hello to Drax. Hey there, Drax. Drax, you'll be streaming later tonight, right? Well, about actually less than an hour from now. So everybody, please give Drax a follow, and you'll be working on the. You'll be rocking the. Gee whiz, spacing on the Infinity name, because of course I can't remember Infinity. Doing the LVO. So Drax, are you doing the entire convention? And I guess is that like Adepticon where they have official events like on the Tuesday 2 weeks before the convention practically, or is LVO kind of a Thursday through Sunday event? Because I swear Adepticon, once I started seeing official events for Wednesday, I went, holy smokes, man. So some Marvel Crisis Protocol and some GW stuff. And of course, well, Drax, now, is GW doing something like they did at Adepticon where they have maybe right as the convention's getting started, they do like their reveal thing or something like that? So there is still some Wednesday stuff there. Holy smokes. Of course, I mean, if this had been a normal year, we would have been at Adepticon all, I'm sure, on Tuesday. We might not have stayed overnight on Tuesday, but we would have been there. Well, geez, we might have even been there on Monday. So I think it's on Thursday. Yeah, it's on Thursday. What, the 26th? Okay, well, yeah, the 26th. Now you can see we're getting a little bit of highlighty action here. We'll have to come back down here, and we're going to reinforce some darks and some other things down there too. But first, I'm going to take a little bit of this. I'm going to hit this right over here. Because these are metal surfaces, right? Maybe we need more orange in that. I'm going to say we need some more orange. Something like this, maybe. A little bit of light in there. Okay, yeah, that was looking way too yellow. Way too yellow. And this is going to go all along here. There we are. Yeah, it was too much of a yellow. The only reason the reflection's going this high is because these are metal surfaces. If they were stone, we would say, not so much. Of course, Drax, I don't know, I don't have too much hope for any genuine Lord of the Rings or Middle-earth strategy battle game news. It seems like they kind of did all that. They had their big explosion a couple of months ago, and that's about the most we can hope for, I think. Because I don't think there was any real big reveals at CanCon. Yeah, if there had been, there definitely would have heard something about that. Now, of course, every so often, a tyrant comes along and just tries to take over everything. That would be Tabletop Tyrant this time. Tabletop Tyrant, how you doing? Finally back to some object source lighting. It has been like over 2 weeks. I almost didn't recognize what channel this was. There was no object source lighting. So yes, we're getting back to the object source lighting at long last. Everybody please give Tabletop Tyrant a follow. Hey Lehman Ross, how you doing? Actually, that reminds me. I'm pretty sure I got that file. It was a Lehman Russ. It was a digital print file, obviously, of a Lehman Russ that looks basically like a firefly. It looks I'm pretty sure I got that file. I'll have to double check, but I thought I had. Maybe I haven't gotten that file yet. But of course, well, speaking of 3D printed stuff, we do have one other 3D printed Lehman Russ. We also have a Chimera that we 3D printed. I actually do now. I have the last 3 cowlings printed, so I can put those on there. That's what I've actually been waiting for, is to get those last stupid 3 cowlings printed. Arid has returned. So, Tabletop Tyrant, as always, you want to post some pics of things that you've been doing on stream lately? That would be fabulous, so people could check it out. I'm going to try and hit this again over here. We got some of our later stuff. Notice where we're holding the brush. Again, as always, nowhere near that metal ferrule. Seriously, I mean, we are genuinely closer to the back of the brush than to the front of the brush. Lehman Russ, there's always something fun about conversions. Well, any kind of conversions, but vehicle conversions. Those are always fun. Now, here, let me head over here to our Sisters of Battle army, where we had no choice. We had to, where's my Sisters of Battle here? There they are. So yeah, we, especially the Exorcist there, and then we had, there's a Hydra. And you see the thing with the armor skirts there? I think that was our Lehman Russ right there. Yeah, we turned that into a Lehman Russ. Oh, wait a minute, here it is. There we go. There's the Exorcist. So we took that RAV 6x6 and we basically put the pipe organ turret on there. And of course, you can see some of the vehicles that we had with us there. So again, there was our Lehman Russ, and I think there was a Chimera or two, and then there was a Hydra. So that was 2014 at Adepticon. That was my last tournament army. We did the Tomb Kings on the fantasy side, and we did the Imperial Guard / Sisters of Battle on the other side. Well, Tabletop Tyrant, yeah, Is it gonna be a fight to the finish to get everything ready for Adepticon, or is there a point where you just say, well, okay, I tried my best, did what I could, or do you just kind of say, I'm gonna keep fighting? Thanks, Lehman Ross. Now, ultimately, I did want to throw some sponsons on there. Oh, by the way, that printed vehicle I showed you, there's all kind. There's options for the turret, for the hull, and what's fun is a lot of the digital printing ones. They're smart, right? They give you all kinds of sponson options, so you can exchange out your sponson stuff really easy. Because I always wanted to do, just for painting purposes, an all plasma Lehman Russ. I mean, literally everything plasma. Obviously, that's probably not the ideal the ideal layout for a Lehman Russ, but if I get myself a 3D printable one, I'm sure gonna try and do something like that. No doubt about it. Now here, what I'm actually gonna do is just wipe some of that away, and then grab some of this here, and then we'll go right over the top of that. Much better. Let's see. It's all Warhammer Fantasy. Oh, gee, it was an all new AOS Chaos Army. Threw them on the squares. So Warriors of Chaos with some Nurgly markings. Yeah, Lehman Russ. I think I actually scratch sculpted. This was for my wife actually. It was the Dark Angels, one of their speeders, the one that had all the plasma stuff on it. I think I actually tried to scratch sculpt one of those for. That was a crazy project too, for sure. Now let me see if I can't carry my orange out here. There's too much yellow. Can you see this? Sort of. Yeah, I can sort of see that. Just trying to catch some of these edges with some of the orange here. Well, Tabletop Tyrant, I hope that it's fun to play. I mean, usually heavily meta-oriented lists are also not going to be really interesting or fun to play. But the fun lists also kind of get, well, meted, so to speak. So hopefully you can still have some success. And actually, well, this is the other thing I was really hoping to be able to do, say the Lord of the Rings tournament at Adepticon, so that I could try and do a little bit of meta smashing, especially with my Easterlings, just to try and show, yes, you can. You don't, well, obviously now everything is all Dragon Emperor all the time. It would be kind of funny to be there, to be the one Easterling player without a Dragon Emperor. Oh, geez, Grand Oracle Battle FX printable bits. Grand Oracle, you may have to send if you could send me that link, especially just as a reminder, because otherwise I'll forget. But I think Grand Oracle, that has a whole lot of potential for a ton of things. Well, I mean here on the channel, yes, but also video-wise. Yeah, wouldn't you say, Grand Oracle? There's a lot of possibilities in that. Again, so everybody please give Tabletop Tyrant a follow if you could, please. And thanks of course for the raid. Alright, so we're starting to, there you go. I can really see some of that glow there. Really start to take shape. Yeah, Grand Oracle. That's I think that should work. Yeah, I might not see it as soon because that's basically something that I see when I'm actually on my laptop. Generally on the phone, it's really hard to see those. That's something they never really improved. That's for sure. They make it extremely hard to A, even see those, and B, actually get the chance to try and send any messages back. They do not make that easy. So that sounds good. So Lehman Russ, she hasn't done the 40K thing in a long, long time. Actually, Nurgle is really, that's her favorite thing is Nurgle. She was going to do a Nurgle 40K army too, but she never got the chance to do that. Let's see. Let's see. Speaking of well, this is still the craziest of all crazy vehicles here. Where's that? It was the Mechanicum here. There we go. Yeah, this thing. Yeah, that. Well, let's see. Where's the other one that had? Oh yeah, that. All of their vehicles are insane. They're all insane Forge World things. Where's the other one? Oh, there's another one. Yeah, but think of that one and the other vehicle. This is like two of those. So imagine two of the big one, two of the smaller one, and then you have a 5 pound chunk of resin on the top of it. Yeah, and all that stuff is open. Oh, and by the way, it all articulates. Oh, there's a giant telescope too. Speaking of plasma cannons, I think there was 3 articulated plasma cannons on that thing, because there wasn't enough insanity happening with that deal. And of course, it was Forge World, so well, Forge World. So yeah, that sounds like it has a lot of fun potential. I mean, I know I don't want to emphasize the 3D printing too much for folks that don't have one themselves, but what's fortunate now is that you have more and more people printing services, well, like Lethal Shadows. You have more stuff like that, so that kind of, I think, creates more opportunities for folks to be able to get their hands on that. So that thing is just, that was insane. Of course, if I had the oils to paint that, it would have taken a fraction of the time. An absolute fraction of the time. Geez, Groovy, I don't even want to know what that was, because, well, I know what they had to lay out for the painting of it, so can only imagine the other part of that too. That thing was that was not fun. And well, I guess again, with the oils, it changes that around. Of course, assembling that doesn't get any easier. The oils make the painting of it easier, but not the assembly of it. Now, we were talking about darker colors here on this object source lighting. Well, that's what we're going to try and do here, is just carve out some of these shapes a little bit more. Raytheus, nice to see you again. I hope that your Monday was a good one, or at least got through it quickly. At least maybe not too much of a hassle. I was glad to get this thing. I had the miniature put together, but last night as I was trying to prep some other things for videos, I just threw this on just a real quick base again with the bulletin board cork and the texture roller there from Green Stuff World. So Raytheus, I hope that you've been able to, well, work on some things, some fun projects there. I know, well, all too often life gets in the way of, well, especially the larger projects. Here, I'm just going to actually take some of that stuff away. There we are, that's better. And all I did was just take the sponge, just one of our sponges here, that's all. So Lehman Russ, the oils just make everything easier. It doesn't matter whether you're painting, dragons, Moria armies, or terrain. And here, I'll show you a little close up of that. There it is. So yeah, that's a terrain piece right there, painted with the oils. And actually, here's there's the terrain piece that we constructed, and then we did the rest with the oils. Well, did all the painting with the oils anyway. Oh, thanks, Sarge. Thank you so much. Thanks, Sarge. Sorry about that. Raytheus, sorry that you're having a tough time. We can definitely sympathize with that, and that whole idea of just getting to the next day. We can definitely understand what that is all about. Just glad that you made it to another day. Because again, that's pretty much all we're looking for here. We don't. I know people were asking us about Adepticon months or weeks ago. We said we literally just want to get to the next morning. And we don't want to be too dramatic saying that, but that kind of is how it is. There is no plan. There is no schedule. Everything here is just reacting to what happens. So, Sarge, I hope that you're doing well. I'm sure you're probably lurking while working. Right? Oh, thanks, Raytheus. Geez. Thank you so much while you have your things going on, too. That is appreciated. And, of course, Raytheus, you're in that one day at a time for so long, then it becomes difficult to then get to the point where you can sort of maybe think about planning for stuff. So it's a difficult thing because at a certain point, you would really like to be able to just go, all right, I need to think, okay, what might happen weeks from now or months from now? But when you're in that phase of, well, tomorrow is tomorrow, let's just do what we're doing right now. Lehman Russ, that should be really fun. And of course, any way to incorporate that and get more fun and more games out of it, right? That's not terrible. So yeah, at the Casa now, Sarge. So what kind of culinary delights do you have there? Hopefully, since you're just there at the house, you've been able to make something a bit on the fancier side. Oh, now this actually is from Make It Epic here. I think, ironically enough, that's the first of the fallen obelisks that I had a chance to use. Now, where's all the Reaper ones? Let me see if I can find some of those here. I just realized those are up here, aren't they? Yeah, they are. Are both of them up here? Yeah, here they are. Gee whiz, completely spaced on these guys. So, texture roller, 3D printed torch, 3D printed pillars, right? That's a Reaper fig. We did this one on the channel here, so you can go back and check that one out. Now this one doesn't have the source lighting, but lots of 3D printed bits on there. That column, those jugs and vases, and then more columns there. Thank you so much, Grant Oracle. Yeah, and of course, thanks again, Raytheist. Appreciate everybody that's been helping with that. I mean, in addition to everything else, that is also That's basically what funds the resin that we use to print out these bits that we use. Well, for here, like for our painting demos and such, all of that, well, that requires the resin. And when folks are generous here, then I can use that to secure some more resin. Of course, also, too, people are general with the bitses and the cheers and those subs. Thank you so much, Grant Oracle. That's been a lot of bitses and subs today, so it's
Hello,
much
little
appreciated.
hobbits. Fuck my gums.
And let me see. I'm going to say this is a no-holds-barred fight between Gandalf and this dude. He's like, so this is the guy that thinks I'm a Balrog. He's like, well, you are made of stone. It's like, well, yeah, but I'm not like belching fire out of all of my orifices. It's like, yeah, that is a nasty habit of his. Thank you so much for that follow. No holds barred. Appreciate that. Boy, oh boy. So Gandalf now, it's down to Gandalf insulting the Balrog. Couldn't take him in an honest fight, so has to insult him on the street. Wow, look at that. How far the mire have fallen. Oh, ooh, that's, wow. Geez, Sarge, even the first part of that sounded amazing, and then you tack on that other bit, that sounds really good. So, homemade meatloaf, but stuffed with mozzarella. Boy, yeah, I echo the yum from Grand Oracle for sure. Oh my goodness, that is fantastic. You know what? Let me do something here with just straight up brilliant yellow pale. Absolutely no thinner in there whatsoever. There we are. That's what we needed in there. Just, again, no thinner at all. Just out of the tube. Literally out of the tube. Brilliant yellow pale here. Why? Because the paint that's already there is so thin. It's already pretty darn thin. Same thing here. We're going to try and lighten this up, but it's also, that is much thicker. Boy, sorry, that really, and then what is that, the garlic mashed potatoes. Ah, boy, Sarge, I cannot confirm nor deny that I might be going to the store tomorrow just to get a couple of potatoes. They're not exactly the most expensive food in the world, but you can certainly dress those up with some of that garlic that you're talking about. That might just have to happen here. There we go. See, we get a little bit of our light there. Again, it's a thin line, but the paint itself is actually pretty darn thick. Remember, the oil paints, you just don't have to pile up a bunch of thinner in them. They spread out real easy. Really, really easy. So, Sarge, I hope that your Witch King project there, I know there was stuff you wanted to finish for Adepticon. And I know we've talked about sort of a painting triage of, which of those would you just, above all others, you say, okay, you got these three projects, you got to choose one that you can finish looking the way you want it to. Well, Bench Guy, thank you so much for being here. As always, appreciate you being here. And, well, hopefully we see you Thursday again. If for some reason you don't see me on Thursday, that's just because there was some the treatment did happen, but it was a little bit of a rougher night. Who knows? We may have to skip the treatment this month. We haven't heard anything so far today, but unfortunately, we could hear as late as, well, something like 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Let's see. Oh, pizza dough pizza dough. You don't necessarily have to only make pizzas with that. There's some other fun things, I'm sure. aside from just a classic pizza. This is the culinary channel after all. So even here, we're doing some darks here. And the paint also a bit thicker. And maybe darken that down too. Right there. Thank you so much, Bench Guy. Yeah, it's there is, I have to say, there's a little bit of just paranoia because, well, like we were talking earlier, enough things happen, enough things go sideways, you really start kind of well, your head's on a swivel, that's for sure. It's like on a football field, right? If you don't have your head on a swivel, it's going to get knocked off. Or, or on the ice, either way. Hockey, football, any of those. You just sit there and not pay attention to the stuff going on around you. You could be flying into the boards at a high rate of speed. Groovy, that sounds pretty darn delicious to me. That sounds very good. Not super particular with toppings. A 10 meat, 5 cheese pizza is a good start, as Armored Wolf knows. Now, Sarge, I've actually been printing out build plate after build plate of Make It Epic foliage of all kinds. Every kind of tree and stump and whatever plant that I can possibly do just to kind of stock up on those. Now, don't hate me if I end up using some juniper plants with all of those Kurzlook, or whatchamacallits, ring rates. So sorry. So I will make sure to say Sarge was the first one to use juniper plants or juniper trees with a ring wraith figure. That was a Sarge original. Here we're gonna do a little tap that again. See that we're just no layers. No, look at this here. We just slop that color on there. Now we're just gonna take a blending brush, push that around. Same over here. Look at that. Again, no need for layers. Groovy exterior oven sounds pretty well. I love open flame cooking. That's, oof, man, really love that. I think on my Instagram or something like that, an advertisement for an indoor electric grill popped by, and people. I looked at the feedback as I always do, and there were a few folks that said it worked. There was a whole bunch that said it did not, at least not as described. Now, here we have absolutely nothing but a bunch of midtones on this. Here we have, see that? Look at, there's your firelight, then a darker shadow band. Then we have kind of the ambient light over here, and the gold. Well, guess what? We need to do that over here because all we have literally is just a bunch of midtone there. So everybody check out Sarge's Witch King there. And again, if you see me using those same juniper trees on any of the new, again, the ring race from Kurzlook that I printed out, it started out from Sarge there. That was not my idea. I'm not going to take any credit for that. Now I will use some of the dark trees or ruined trees. I forget what the heck those are called. Sarge, do you remember? It's more like, no, that's a juniper tree. Where's the? Nope, even that's a juniper tree. Where the heck is the? Oh, here we are. Where's my lizard man? These guys. Ruined bark tree or something like that. I'm going to try and get some of these guys printed out too, so that we have those for our Dark Forest. Thanks. Sorry, just couldn't spit that out. Couldn't quite manage that. Oh, that is a pretty intense yellowish gold there. You can see we got our greens in here. These guys could use some light. Yeah, there we go. Bingo. Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna have to, even though unfortunately the buy one or buy two get one free is not for for the gray. I think we're just gonna have to at least get a container or two of the gray, because I think I'm down to my last one already. And that's not really a great place to be when you need to rely on them quite as much as we do here. Oh, you can get a yakitori grill with the proper coal. You can use that inside. Oh, groovy. That sounds... You know what would be an absolutely hideous usage for something like that? Korean barbecue. That would just be all wrong, wouldn't it? Yes, do-it-yourself at-home Korean barbecue. That would be totally horrible. Yes, it'd be so horrible I'd be doing it every single day. Just in case maybe it got slightly less horrible. Now I'm going to keep getting some of our lights right there on the handle. This needs to have a little reflected light there. Oh, the juniper trees have been used to keep ghosts and spirits at bay as far back as the Mesopotamians. Well, Groovy, given the fact that they kind of look like spirit hosts, I would imagine the whole idea is that they're trapped in those trees, or they see those trees and they say, wait a minute, some of my buddies got trapped in there last time. I'm out. I'm not hanging around. Ooh, that sounds good too, Grand Oracle. Mongolian beef, yes. Now there's something. Wow, when's the last time I had that? Years ago. Mongolian beef. That is something that also is very tasty. So you can see there's lots of different colors in there, right? Kagoma's Fury, that happens here, doesn't it? That tends to happen here. Again, it is a culinary channel after all. As important as the miniatures are, you can't paint miniatures on a completely empty stomach now, can ya? So a fire pit to make some yakitori. But the pit's a little bit deep for the cooking. Can I get some more light along? Yeah. Ooh, wow. Okay. I didn't think that was going to have quite the effect there, but it did. That's good. Oh, gee whiz. There is no edge on the front of this thing. Holy smokes. Same over here. I'm going to get me just some straight up Indian yellow here. Now, this is that freaky color that is super translucent, but also super thick. It's just weird. Every oil paint has a different consistency to it. It's not like an acrylic paint where pretty much all of them have a very similar consistency. This is not like that for sure. Well, Dick Betty, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, and again, I don't know, maybe there is some weird miracle that happens and we actually see it at Adepticon, but no matter what, I hope you have a blast there. Well, have a blast for both of us. and carry on the tradition of the early 2000s at the new Adepticon. And well, hopefully, maybe we'll see you on Thursday. Big, I hope so. Really hope so. Again, it should probably work out that way, especially since it's going to be a later stream. Now, there we go. So, sitting there fooling around with all those lighter colors, what I really needed was just a dark color there. Grand Oracle needs to pick some awesome takeaway ones for tomorrow. And thank you so much, Armored Wolf, for posting a link to the YouTube channel. Now, I have not had a chance with all of the craziness here to try and take one of these Twitch sessions here and sort of adapt it to YouTube. I try that every so often. It can be difficult because, well, these are a little bit, I mean, even for me, they're kind of long for a YouTube video. So that means they have to be cut down and everything else. It doesn't always work out so easily. Now, of course, we always have a certain standard of excellence here. But also you have to make sure that that excellence comes from within. That would be inner excellence. How you doing there, inner excellence? Yes, that was a long way to go for a greeting for you, but we got there eventually. Something also, along with that inner excellence, something wicked this way comes. And I'm going to guess that that is Wicked Mini Painting. Now, I'm also going to use my foresight points to say that there's 31 people in that raid. And sure enough, there are 31 people in that raid. Thank you so much, Inner Excellence. Appreciate, or sorry, thanks for joining us, Inner Excellence, and thank you so much, Wicked Mini Painting. Everybody, you know the deal. Please give Wicked Mini Painting a follow. Hey, Sluggo, nice to see you back too. So Wicked Mini Painting, I hope that you're doing well. And of course, if you got any pictures of things that you would want to share in the chat, obviously just finished your stream now. We're working on some Kings of War here. This is Empire of Dust. Empire of Dust, we have a little bit of object source lighting just for funsies on this thing here, just to make it a little bit more spicy and interesting. War Squirtle, nice to see you back too. How the heck are you doing? Nice to see ya. It's been a lot of interesting things that we've been working on here. Oh, thanks, Logo. Well, of course, this is the object source lighting channel after all, so here's some other things with the Egyptian rollers, printed basing bits, right? And of course, well, here we got another again, a little more of the object source lighting there. Again, more 3D printed bits from Make It Epic Basing. Sarge, I need to print these out. I want to say at least 20% bigger. Obviously, wouldn't be able to use them much for a miniature base, but for dioramas, I think I need to maybe give that a shot. Oh, by the way, we are also using our homemade fluorescent oils. Now, here's what we've been doing a lot of, is painting up these. Sculpted sand dune bases and tray. 3D printed bits from Make It Epic Basing. Those are from Song of Ice and Fire. And here's another unit of the Starfall Outriders right there. So they're a little bit less heavily armored than the ones you just saw in my hand. But again, same thing with the movement tray and the palm trees. Again, using our traditional oil paints here. And of course, well, we've still been painting a lot of 3D printed stuff. We did this from Archvillain. We also did another one of those Kieran from Lost Kingdoms. And of course, painting these with our traditional oil paints, I guess maybe with the exception of our homemade fluorescent paints. Yes, made those myself, linseed oil and pigment powder. You can make anything into an oil paint basically with some pigment powder and some linseed oil, which is really cool. Now I think, yeah, why don't we get some dark along that edge? There we go. Since we're emphasizing this as armor instead of just a stone, I think we need to do that. I also need to get in here, mostly Van Dyke Brown. There's these little, I don't know if you would call them straps here or whatever. But yeah, some of those edges need to be, yeah, those were, we lost a few of those edges there. Also, speaking of edges, we need some more over here too. So again, Wicked Mania Painting, you want to share anything in the chat there. And of course, Inner Excellence, have you been able to keep up with the painting there? I know everybody's really had kind of a weird time over the last several months when it comes to trying to keep pace with their painting stuff. And it hasn't been easy, to say the least. Does this need to be darker? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out one way or another. You know, nah. Well, what the heck? What the heck? I'm going to do it. Probably wouldn't reach this far. So that was the question earlier, is just how far would you carry the glow? Here we're going to carry it further than I ordinarily would, just to make that a little more interesting. There's so much of this stone color here. Why not carry it just a little further maybe than you might otherwise do that? Oh boy, Inner Excellence. Sorry to hear about that. It's that's got to be, oh, I'm sure that's super frustrating, because you just can't quite, and all you can think of is all the things that you really want to be doing. So Inner Excellence, sorry that there's that frustration. Well, Doji, I hope that you have yourself a decent Tuesday at work there. So, Doji, thanks as always for being here. I just really appreciate that. I know it's super early in the morning for you, and you're just trying to get yourself ready for work, too. But great to have you in here to keep me company. And like I said, hopefully Thursday works out as usual, and we can hang out together here. Well, you'll get to see more of it then, because, well, it would be its more usual later start. No idea what it might be. It could be some Mantic halflings. I have no idea yet. I do have some halflings prepped, but they also have to get based, and they have to be on their movement tray and such. I need maybe more orange here. And then I might need to darken this area down. I think I might just do that. And we'll just dry brush that stuff on. Now, of course, sometimes things just get painted poorly, but painted poorly is not a poor painter. Hello, painted poorly. It's like, dude, might want to watch where your backside is. Or he's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? He's like, I'm not like that Balrog, I'm not just made of fire and shadow. It's like, speaking of shadows, you need to cast one on that base. That's the other thing that we want to do here, right? So we're going to take our, well, beat up old blending brush, right? We're going to do this. And how in the world does this foot not cast a shadow? So just like Gandalf says, we're going to try and cast a little bit of a shadow here. So see that? A little bit of a shadow there. Same thing maybe over here. It's going to do double purpose. And that now our orange is going to seem that much lighter. And we'll continue some of that shadow out this way. Yeah, now I'm starting to see me a shadow over here. We are using traditional artist oil paints, but they're right out of the tube. There are no weird mediums or anything like that. Nothing like that. Again, obviously we made our own homemade fluorescents. They You can get fluorescent oil paint in a tube, but that's very expensive. It's not necessarily the greatest, and it's usually not really available outside the US. So that creates a bit of a limitation. So there we go. So we're having darkened that area down. Now my orange has more of an effect there. Ah, thank you so much, War Squirtle. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. And hopefully you're doing okay too. So War Squirtle, what have you been doing lately? Well, and hopefully you've been able to keep up with the painting. Again, I know so many folks that, I mean, it's just talk about life intrusions. Holy smokes. Really, in life just getting in the way of streaming and painting and all kinds of things. Now look at that. See how we've snuck that light's going through? Because see, the thing is up here. How would it not sneak its way through those legs there? So we might get a little bit more of our orange right here along the edge of that. And then eventually we'll get in here and we'll hit it with a blending brush just to soften those edges down. But we want to give that a little bit of time. Don't be hasty, little hobbitses, right? And you can see again we've got that lighter orange, and there's that dark band, and then we have some of that much cooler, more dingy sort of. Oh, maybe we could. Okay, so this could be weird, but let's see. Since that is also metal, I'm going to try and catch a little bit of our firelight there, just because. Maybe a little bit more of the orange up here. Yeah, maybe that's pushing where it would actually technically go, but it is a giant walking statue, so there's that. Sometimes you just have to say, well, realism is relative. You try to make it believable. I think that's maybe the better word. Believable, not necessarily realistic. It's a fantasy setting after all. And I know there's a part of you that really wants to have it be as realistic as possible, but that's not necessarily the most realistic viewpoint. Maybe if this thing were full size, that'd be different, but it's just a miniature, and sometimes you have to kind of play around with that limitation as far as size. Now this, see, that edge needs to be more in a shadow mode there. Van Dyke Brown, not only is that darker, but it's much more neutral. And that's going to go along this edge, and now our firelight gets lighter without doing anything to the firelight. Because eventually you can only go so light. You just can't make it any lighter. Which means, well, you can always make the other stuff darker. Thank you so much, Mr. Senpai. I appreciate that. It's like, oh, I see you have on-camera light sourcing. It's like, well, of course I'm on camera. What do you think I am? He's like, no, dude, it's like right there on your base. Like, oh, so yours is off-camera light sourcing because you don't see it. It's like, either that or there's somebody shining a flashlight on me. So yeah, that's our constant little discussion between on-camera light sourcing like this versus the off-camera light sourcing like all of our Moria stuff, right? Between our Moria army, our Moria fellowship, and of course our dwarves of Khazad-dûm, which are there. There you go. So again, same kind of thing where the sort of glow comes from underneath. It's not a specific light source, right? Not like all the flames in here. Again, here's our Dunlendings. You can see that's pretty direct. You can see exactly where the light source is coming from. Yeah, geez, Grand Oracle. I'm trying to think. Well, I have all of those War of the Ring board game figures. And I was, let's put it this way, I was gonna do painting videos on those and all this other sort of stuff, and then I thought, well, wait a minute. Would it be better to just actually print miniatures that are smaller for the game? Because it would actually make the game a more practical thing. There would be more distinction between like the elites and the regulars and such. But then it kind of takes out the whole purpose of how do you paint a bunch of board game figures with the oils in a hurry. So that was a whole set of videos that I had planned. I'd actually been prepping all of those figures for some videos, and then, well, things happen. That was definitely part of a plan. Ooh, you know what? That needs to get some orange on it there. I actually have some over. I'm just going to grab that and just going to yank that over this way and say that's enough. Yeah. Don't want to go too crazy with that. Now this edge just needs to be straightened up. I don't necessarily want it to be as solid because there's all kinds of little dings and chips and everything else. Now, have I gotten enough dark on this? No. I know I was putting a bunch of reflected light there. What about this stuff here? I guess I need to put some lighter color there. Maybe just this. Well, that's kind of that's a dirty yellow right there. That's for sure. It's almost kind of an ochre. No, it's more like a sienna. It's like raw sienna. For folks that ask, why don't I ever use things like ochre and raw sienna and even burnt umber and such? Even though we should always respect the umber, according to the Book of Wapol, it's just kind of easy to make that out of something else. We just made raw sienna here by accident. Wasn't even trying. Do I really need to have a whole nother tube of paint taking up space and another color taking up space on the palette when it sure as heck was easy enough to just make it, to just accidentally mix it up? Yeah, I think that helps, having that extra bit of light there. Should we get a highlight on the top of that? I suppose. Lethal Shadows Gaming still here. Can everybody please? We're talking about 3D printing a lot. I know, huge surprise, right? Among the other things, like the fact that we're doing object source lighting or Egyptian stuff. Two things that never happen on this channel. We also never talk about 3D printing, but when we do, we always mention Lethal Shadows Gaming. So for those times where you don't have a printer, but you say, man, I would really like to print out this bust or this sculpt or something. Someone like Lethal Shadows is somebody that can not just print it up for you, but in such a way that all you need to do, slap some primer on it, start painting it. Oh, actually, Lethal Shadows does have their own sculpts too. It's not just other folks' STL files. And of course, if Lethal Shadows wants to share any links to the fabulous brushes and the miniature holders that they also have, go ahead and do that while we come back in here with some dark. That's the Egyptian violet, whatever. We'll use it. We'll use that, and we've got to come back in here. There's another shape. There we go. Somehow, I think maybe I was just about to do these, and maybe we had a raid or something. I was thinking, how in the world did we not catch those sooner? Wicked Elf Miniatures are just using that brush on stream. Alright, well, Groovy, I hope it's fun sorting through the old medals there. I mean, kind of a little bit of a history Right, a little bit of an archaeological dig there. You never know what kind of fun thing you might run across or ideas that you might get as you run across something. So you have fun. And of course, Groovy, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you hanging out with me. And there's redesigning the convention displays too. Yeah, Lethal Shadows. I mean, it's not like the standard ones out there are just not like they're no good, but they're not always designed for what you need. And of course, even the best ones, well, the next 10, 12 booths around you also have the same exact thing. And I've often wondered that. You know, you get something like that, it's obviously a really nice setup, but boy, it just looks like everybody else's setup. And in large vendor halls, looking like every other setup can, well, that has its own issues. I think I'm just going to try and sneak it. Well, that was more light in there than I really wanted, but we need to do the same over here too. So there's a little bit more mold line mischief on this side, I think, than on the other side. Also, too, what I'm doing here is just taking that one same color, basically a little bit of brilliant yellow pale, and I'm letting it mix with all of the Van Dyke brown and some other things that are still in place from the pre-glaze. Ah, boy, Lethal Shadows, that'd be fantastic. You're gonna have to send me pictures. Gotta send me pictures, because love me some display things like that. I'll never forget just how happy I was when I got those. Oh, what the heck were they? Oh, they were for like displaying cupcakes. They were for displaying baked goods. And of course, in our what we need, right? It doesn't have to just look good. It has to go up and down real fast. It has to be pretty darn sturdy. And that's a difficult thing, right? Lethal Shadows. It's kind of like the tank thing: speed, protection, firepower, or maneuverability, protection, firepower. And those three things don't want to. They want to contradict each other. They don't want to balance each other out. They want to basically go against each other. Boy, Lethal Shadows. It just first I got them because they were vertical, and I'm always dealing with extremely limited space. I mean, sometimes all I have is maybe 3 feet by 3 feet, or maybe something like that. And the fact that they're transparent means that people can look through them and see that there's more there. And it also is a lot easier to light those. So much easier to light those for sure. Now, I still got to decide. I don't think we're going to do the glowing runes here. I was tempted to, but I think that would just be a little bit too much. Sometime, here again, that's that notion of, well, it would really look neat, maybe, if this were bigger. If this were 72 mil, I probably wouldn't even think twice about doing that. But here, at this scale, that might just, it might not read quite the way I want it to. So we'll be conservative and we'll just do this. Okay, go. That sounds really good. That sounds really, really good. Wow, that hummus is something I haven't had in a long time. We used to have that all the time. But unfortunately, your diet radically changes and your taste changes all the time. It's a constantly moving target. Things that you might have loved become practically inedible to you. And things that you maybe didn't like are the things that you can't eat. And all of a sudden, those taste so much better, or the texture of things. Again, might be something you really like, but all of a sudden, that texture is something you can't stand or even consume. There, I see that was much better doing that. Instead of, we have object source lighting here, we have glowing eyes there. Sometimes enough is enough. And even this is not pure, straight up white in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, Kago, now the other thing too, and I'm sure this is the case for other situations, and this happened with the whole soft food diet thing. There are foods that 6 months later she can't even look at. Not because she hated them, it's just the association. So yeah, it's not like they would taste bad or anything like that. There's so such a strong mental association with something that was not pleasant that it's just well, I can understand that. Well, it's and of course there's allergies that people have and stuff too that can also influence that. I feel sorry for the folks that have just a whole bunch of them. I only have to worry about one, and it's very easy to not worry about because I never eat the stuff, never ate it anyways. So it's not like that was ever going to be a problem. Grand Oracle. We just talked about that, Kathy and I. It was a friend of hers who was having an extreme bout of perfection being the enemy of completion. It is the mortal enemy of completion. It is the nemesis of the antithesis of completion. And guess what? Nothing's ever going to be perfect. You really wouldn't want it to be, because as soon as you paint the perfect thing, what are you going to do after that? Paint another perfect thing? It'll all be downhill from there. So enjoy imperfection, because you can always say, "Well, I'm pursuing the perfect piece," and hopefully it never really happens, because otherwise painting will get really boring or very intense after that. I don't I don't think you want either of those to happen. Yeah, Kago, there's I think my brother, he is the only person in our entire family that doesn't look at like chocolate locked in a safe and try and break it open with their bare hands. I mean, I would just try and eat the safe just if the outside chance I could get at the chocolate on the inside of it, but he does not like chocolate because it made him sick, or he just thinks it made him sick, so all these years later, he will not touch it to this day. Yeah, Grand Oracle, it's well, and two, like you say, at a certain point, and I think I try to bring that up in the army painting series. Is it gonna be viewable? Can they actually see it? Now, of course, I also add this little caveat there. If you're looking to get a best painted army, one of the ways to really impress the judges is to take it a little bit further, even on parts of the unit maybe that would not be seen, because, well, having judged that sort of stuff, guess where the things that we grabbed? We didn't grab the unit champion. Well, one person had a strategy of, so what's your favorite figure in the army? Or what are the things that you really are your best? And they would, of course, show them, and they would immediately look at something else as far away from the glorious thing that they showed them, because they knew that they were just trying to say, here, look at this thing that I spent all my time on, or much more time on. So but that's only if you're really, really, really looking to get that best painted thing. that something like that could really help you in your quest for such things. Drax, he's not really big into the sweets at all. Now, of course, he has also been much more into just in general healthy foods. I mean, well, he was running marathons too and half marathons all the time. Hey, AD, how you doing? Geez, Drax. Oh, geez, Jax, I thought you'd be streaming now because it's 12:14. Oh, that's right, LVO. Never mind. Never mind. Forget about it. So AD Creations, how you doing? If everybody could please give AD Creations, that would be spectacular. Hey AD, if you wanted to share your stuff in the chat, like usual, that'd be fantastic. I mean, for me, it's usually I really, really, really do enjoy sweeter things, but sometimes actually saltier things, something more on the savory side. In fact, sometimes now I almost, there are times where I actually kind of like the savory a bit better. Yeah, you have your go bag, you have your hobby go bag ready. Now, let's see. I do hope that it's fun there, and I'm guessing it's going to be a pretty big attendance. It's one that we always wish we could have done. It's just there's the timing of it. It is just not not the best timing at all. Especially in the winter time here, because when we're not going out there, it will be a perfectly sunny 30-degree day here, no problem. The year that we try to get out there, 24 inches of snow, 50-mile-an-hour winds, you can fill in the rest. Now there is, I think I want to actually try and get something that's gold right here. There's a little thing I just noticed here. So Grand Oracle. The other thing too was Army theme, something that's different, and of course that kind of goes to where you are there with the you need to catch that eye from across the room, right? So a really interesting display board can do that, but does it have enough to keep them really looking at it? And that's at Adepticon. That's where I learned about display boards. That is where I really learned about display boards. And that's why, I mean, I think you saw the sister. Well, we can scroll upwards here. Why don't we start out with, where's my, wait a minute. Where's our Dark Elves? Well, we can start with them. I forgot all about their army board. So, nope, that's not them. There they are. So, there's, again, that was my 2013 army right there. And of course, here's some of the Lizardman army. That was the first army board that I ever made. And of course, the Tomb Kings, well, there you go. That's their army board. Now, where's my bolt action here? Let me get that too. Whoops, there we are. There's another. Again, that's another display board right there. And all of these were basically designed for being able to play games on them. So again, there's another display board right there. There's the interior of it. The Aegis defense wall out there, that was playable. I mean, that was part of the army. I paid the points for it. I was certainly as heck going to use it. But it was a piece of terrain for my board, but it also was a playable Aegis defense line. I don't even know if they still have those anymore. Is that still a thing with the IG at all? Well, I'm sorry, Astra Militarum or whatever the heck they're called now. Ah, that's a good strategy there, Grand Oracle. And everybody, please check out the links that AD Creations just posted. Ah, well, AD, I'm glad that it ended up okay. Sorry that it got adventurous there. And I'm glad it was a strong finish. But man, you could definitely have not used the first part, right? So yeah, that was an example of some of the display boards that I've made over the years. And I wrote up a whole story for each army. I mean, that's why we have Sticky Wicket. Remember that painting that I did? Because he was a big part of the army. He wasn't just a character. He was also... Let's see, where's our drawing and miniature of Sticky Wicket? Let me just 1 second here, go back to my Lizardman real quick. I don't remember which of the images that it is, but... Oh, there he is. So that was, he was actually the general of the army. Yes, he was a skink chief. But you can see in 2009, I did a little portrait of him there at Games Day, because, well, reasons, right? But there was a whole story all wrapped around him and the army. And of course, the Silver Pharaoh for my Tomb Kings. There were people that liked that story so much they wanted me to actually write out a full story for it, not just the 3 or 4 pages or so. That's actually on the blog too, now that I think about it. That story's on the blog, so yeah, if you wanted to see it, it's there. Same thing with my Lizard Man story. I'm gonna try and get me a cup. Nah, see, now that that paint has had a chance to set for a little bit, I'm able to get some more light colors in there. AD, that sounds like a little bit less reacting time at the bowling alley right there. Yeah, that doesn't sound so relaxing. Glad that that didn't spill over too much into your good time. Oh, now, see, again, I just had to wait for this paint to set a little bit more. If I had tried painting that on there, even as recently as an hour ago, forget about it. Speaking of which, 3 hours and 22 minutes ago, this had no paint on it at all. Oh, the belly is filled with those, the potatoes and the mozzarella infused meatloaf. Well, Sarge, I know you need to get some rest for tomorrow. Appreciate you being here. Heck, it's 12, almost 12:30 here. Same for you. Thanks, Kiko Miss Fury. Appreciate that. Boy, I tell you, the oils just make all this so easy. Those army boards that I painted, wow. Just the painting alone would have gone so much faster on those army boards with the oils. Faster than an airbrush. Ultimately faster because with the airbrush you can get those broader surfaces. Yeah, you can do those faster for sure with an airbrush, but the oils can tackle large areas and detail areas all at once, and you don't have to do all the masking and everything else, right? Because you don't have to worry about overspray. They're not going to be any. So that is one of those kind of critical advantages that the oils have. There you go. So good night, Thorge. Do I need some more? Let me get some blue into the eye. We basically have kind of a mid-tone blue. and then white, and nothing in between. I'm going to get this radiant turquoise into the mixer. Let's see what this can do. Because that's just a little bit too plain. Ah, there we go. It's somewhere kind of right in between those two value-wise, but it has a little more color to it, and I think that's one of the things that was missing here. That's the thing that was missing. So Hannah, the object source, it's literally just like a little flashlight. And actually, oh gosh, Hannah, you've never seen me show the little tiny flashlights, have you? Darn it, I don't have any of those around here. But they're little stupid tiny LED flashlights. There's 3 colors. Well, there's red, green, blue, and white. And what you can actually do is take them here and just shine them on your miniature, and it literally will tell you where the light reaches. And the object source lighting is always going to be, as much as it is about, well, the light, it's more about the color, right? So here, as always, I mean, yeah, okay, it looks like there's some light there, but, well, there's plenty of light here, too. Up here, what do we have? We have cooler colors. We have more grayed down colors. Basically just shades of gray and brown. But down here, when we bring our color back, you will see the intensity of that orange. There you are. So it's the warmth of this and the intensity of it next to these cooler tones right here. And I mean, we have plenty of other examples. Look at that. Cooler colors, grayer blue. Now here's an opposite. This is a little different. Oh, look at this. So the light source, this actually is your most intense color right here. Even though it's a cooler color, that's an intense color. And then we have lots of warmer colors here. Even this violet, technically, it's warmer than this blue because it has red in it. So we have a lot of warmer, even this gray is a warmer gray. There's almost a little bit of pink in that. Why? Because we have this blue. Now we'll do our, like so. Yeah, I mean, a little bit of glow there, but everywhere else, just weird, right? You don't see the violet there against that blue. We bring our color back. There you go. Same thing. 2 different colors, same principle though. Same principle, but the opposite. Hannah, that's just how the light works. That's just how that light works, because fortunately, when you do all the 2D art, good night, Arid. Thanks so much. Actually, here, I could use one of these. I'm just going to give you a little salute there as we say good night to you. So, good night, Arid. And of course, Arid, if you want to post your links one more time on the way out. So again, Hannah, it's not just for object source lighting, it's for everything. It is absolutely for everything, because here, now remember this guy, this is one of our exercises for the Patreon page. Now we have this. Obviously, I would have loved to get all of these colors on that wolf, but this was obviously this was just a value study. So we had 2 colors, one light, one dark. But here you can see cooler colors there, a warm color there, warm versus cool. Heck, we got red versus green. You can see the eyes have the most intensity of color right next to this blue. Why? Because you want them to be looking there. It's a whole lot easier to do that having the most intense colors next to each other and opposite colors. And then the third thing is the edges, right? Harder edges here, softer edges there. You're not looking at the background, you're looking at this here, because you got all of this. I mean, it wouldn't matter which way you're holding it, right? This way, upside down, wouldn't matter. It's all about those different forms of contrast. So everybody, please check out the link there from Arid. Please go check that out. You know what? I'm going to try, just for funsies here. This is another. Again, we need some extra little boost. Look at that. So that's not just lighter. That's got a little bit of blue. So we actually have like a turquoise right next to a yellow here. So that's a color contrast. It's an opposite there. People are not going to just look at that and go, wow, look at that turquoise on the gold. No, they're just going to say, wow, what's attracting my eye over there? Something is making me want to look at that. Oh, no problem, Hannah. That is really not something that you're going to see in the miniature painting world, right? It's much more, I guess, mechanical, maybe. I guess that's the word that I'm looking for. Now, it might sound a little bit esoteric at first, but it's a whole lot easier, right, to think, okay, if I want to have blue object source lighting, that's got to be the most intense color. So that's a very saturated blue, but to make that stand out more, instead of having more blue out here, what am I going to have? That's a warmer color, but it's kind of dingy, right? That's very intense. That's very dingy. So that's same thing with the object source lighting, but just a different set of colors. And again, I hope that kind of makes sense and doesn't seem too crazy. I know it can when it's just something that's so new and you're not quite used to that idea. Because I know with the miniature painting thing, I keep hearing the volumes and what's the other thing too? Oh, modulation. That was the other thing. I'd never heard that word before. Kind of like what's the other thing? I almost said Snapchat, uh, slap chop or something like that. I'd never heard that before. I mean, it's something that we do here on every single miniature to get started, right? Whether it's acrylic or whether it's oils. Whether it's a shaded base coat or a pre-glaze, same idea. Somehow we never really did get our yellows over here. So we'll throw some of that down here. And I realize that can be very different from what you typically hear out there in the miniature painting world. And it always seems to me like there's this weird insistence kind of making things more complicated than they really are. I'll see these vehicle painting things where it's 15, 16, 17 steps, and
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my guns.
I keep thinking, why did they take a 3 or 4 step process and turn it into a 15 or 17 step process? Because guess what? When there's 3 times as much process, that's 3 times as many things that can go wrong. Thank you so much, Luz. Oh, what could possibly go wrong when you got just a pocket full of pipeweed? It's like, what's this pipeweed you're talking about? He's like, are you sure you're going to be able to really enjoy that? Because you are made of stone. It's like, newsflash, dude, I've known that for a long time. Maybe he should do less of the pipeweed. Now, the more this guy engages in conversation here, it's going to be more, oh, where's Jack? Where is he? Ah, here he is. Remember Jack? Jack was very fun. I loved having him as a character on the show, but he was a 75 mil Loot Studio sculpt, so he was kind of too big to have around. It's very difficult to find a space for him where we could just grab him real easy. But we still got to print out another one of him because it was Jack, and of course everybody loved Jack the Werejackal. I want to see if I can't. So here again, we're going to sneak some of our lighter color. First thing I'm going to do is darken that down now. Yeah, Radiant Violet, why not? So remember, we have a lot of Radiant Violet in our highlights on the stone. What do we have on our gold? We have yellows there. We even have some greens and turquoise. Why? Because they're basically sort of an opposite to all that violet. So it's, again, a real subtle way to engineer a little extra sneaky contrast. Very sneaky contrast. Lehman Ross, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much. And yeah, Lehman Russ, thanks for just by being here, you've reminded me that I have to look and make sure that I actually went ahead and got that file where it literally was a Lehman Russ in the very distinct shape of a Sherman Firefly. which, and well, I'm pretty sure it had that that I almost said psi cannon. Look at me, the old Grey Knights player, talking about psi cannons. It had all of the plasma cannon implements, I think. So that can be really fun. I see. I need to sneak some dark down in here. And a bit more there. Now we also need some in here. I'm going to say that's, well, what the heck. Let's see if we can do some metal there. Don't know why. We're just going to, here, we'll use some of our gold. Look at that. Did you see me do a bunch of layers there? Nah. I just slap that color on it, and then we'll just take, heck, we can even use our regular brush as a blending brush. Look at that. So see, that wasn't very difficult, was it? So thank you so much, Armored Wolf, for posting that link. We appreciate everyone that has already helped with that fund tonight. A whole bunch of people have. It's further into the green. We appreciate that. Boom, there's a little bit of it right here. I'll go one there. Yeah, what the heck, okay. Well, there's radiant green. Wasn't initially what I was thinking, but let's see how that works. That does actually work. It's somewhat lighter, but it actually has a color to it. How would that be very kind of yellow, shiny gold when it's essentially in a shadow area? As we always want to be thinking about those kinds of practical things. Like we were talking about before, you don't have to necessarily get really wrapped up in this whole is it realistic. Believability is close enough. Does not have to be complete realism since nothing like this exists. Kind of hard to make it totally realistic. You just have to fudge things. See, that's now this item here kind of comes forward. Those colors on his back, reseed. Speaking of which, I'm gonna take this brush. This is one we used in the very early phases. Just gonna try and shoot a little bit more of my lighter color down in there. Maybe a bit up here too. Same there. Down in here. This is another little issue. How much reflected light or whatever do you get in those shadows? I know that the big thing now is to have really, really, really bright highlights and darks that are just totally dark with no reflected light whatsoever. I know that's, and it's weird because people, they shoot those all the time on dark, super dark backgrounds, or they wipe out the backgrounds and make them black. And I'm thinking, if you had reflected light there, it would show up even more and would really be very dramatic. But obviously trends are trends. And of course, well, those trends, they tend to change. Especially with things like photography. Well, of course, now, still images, well, that was so last week. That's the other thing that I desperately want to try out this week is my little rotating platform. See if I can actually start taking some videos of that. Because that's what all the cool kids do now is they take video of stuff. They don't just take still pictures anymore. Which is kind of fun in some ways, as long as there's no crazy music attached to it. That is less fun. Give me the silent reels. Give me the silent. I don't want the talkies. As I go to look at a little rotating thing of some miniatures and I get my head blown off by some kind of music, that's intense. I just want to look at the miniatures. A little more light. Yeah, let's get these guys here. So we have all these highlights here on these. Well, if we want those to be metal, we're going to have to get some more darks back in there. But if I put a whole bunch of highlights on this stone here, that's going to draw the eye away from any sort of potential dramatic highlights I have over here on that metal. So we must be careful. Now let's get a little more color. Ooh, there we go. Indian yellow and some of our fluorescent orange. That'll do it. There we are. Basically, color-wise, value-wise, it was a little bit different, but color-wise, it was pretty much looking the same. Hannah, well, the first person to express displeasure over that was Kathy, because she was just looking at her phone, and all of a sudden this music just was blaring out of her phone. I went, what the heck is that? Was that a YouTube channel? She says, no, that was an Instagram post. And it was just a miniature or something like that, and all of a sudden this just music, man, which of course you may not have control over, because YouTube, what they've started to do is me as a creator, I can do all the sound mixing and everything that I want to. YouTube is going to quiet me down so that you have to turn me up so that when that ad plays, you get absolutely blitzed by it. Hey, Inganes, how you doing? Hannah, the other thing that I've noticed is that a lot of times people, maybe they're using copyrighted songs or something like that, but now it seems like every other video it says, can't play the song because it's copyrighted. So how you doing there, Inganes? Now I know I have a collection of copyright free whatever YouTube music that I use in those. I suppose I could use some of that for Instagram vids. But yeah, unfortunately, I noticed that no matter how hard I try to make sure that my sound is very balanced and I'm not too loud or too quiet, YouTube comes along and suppresses my sound. Obviously, the booby trap, right? You turn it up, you keep turning it up to hear me, and then along comes an ad that plays at max volume, and oh my goodness. Yeah, there we go. Now we got some more of our light here. See, we're missing some light on top of these, but with our new dark in place, there. As always, a mold line running through it, and there's a lot of mold lines that cruise through these things, so. And Ghani's, this was a super scary, last Monday, last Monday was a no bueno day. Very kind of scary. But it did ultimately lead to news that was better, that's for sure. We didn't like the pathway getting there, but as scary and crazy as that Monday was, it did ultimately lead to some better news. So we took that as a win. Now this is going to be continuing for months and months and months, I would imagine. Again, could be wrong. but I think we're only kind of just now. Well, that age-old saying of it's the end of the beginning. That looks like a bunny rabbit right there. The long feet. There's his head with the little ears or something. That looks like a hunchback bunny rabbit. I'm not sure which pharaoh that's supposed to be a symbol of, but it's somebody. Yeah, don't want to go too bonkers with the lights there. Yeah, and Gane's it was needed because well, we had until then we had no idea if anything we were doing was actually working. There was no concrete evidence. There was suggestions. There was some numbers. There was some sort of sideways methods of analyzing it. This was the first time where they said, well, it was like this. Now it's like this. And that was literally the first time we'd heard anything like that. Of course, there's a new challenge, and that's why we've been doing this. And that definitely complicates things. Because unfortunately, the brain has a pesky way of protecting itself, but that also makes all the other stuff not reach that. So did we ever? Oh, we never did get our lightest light on this side over here. We got to figure out, should the light go in there? No, I'm going to have it go over here like we did on the other one. Well, see, that was too much. It's all right. It's all right. We'll just take this. A little tap, tap, tap. And there you go. And then we'll put some light over here too. There we go. All right, that makes way more sense. How's about we also get an edge right here? Now, what do we... Oh, let's get some of that light. Also here... Wow, okay, I didn't expect that to make so much of a difference there. There's there's the Indian yellow being sneaky. Indian yellow. You hear the word yellow, you think it's this bright, shiny yellow. It is not a bright yellow color at all. It's a very deep color. It can be very dark, actually. But keep in mind, as always, that it's super translucent. I mean, extremely translucent. Where's my Prussian blue here? Not even sure I really want that to... Whoops, that's that's way too bright. Okay, there we go. A little indigo, tone that down. That's more like it. What is happening with this here? That needs, I think, some of our weird green reflected light here. Now we'll just mix that in the rest of the way. Yeah, that's going to need some too. Well, if we want it to be metal, why does it not have reflections? Grab this to soften that. There we go. We have even some green here with orange on the other side, right where all of our firelight is. And again, all of this 3 hours 49 minutes ago, there was nothing here. There was nothing here to see except a gray primer. Just a light gray primer, and that's it. It happens quick. Don't blink. Don't ever blink. Now, what about this stuff out here? See, the thing is, too many lights and darks over here. It's going to compromise our what we want people to be looking at over here. However, we want also people to see that pattern. So that's where we say, do we kind of maybe subvert what maybe would be done there? Because again, it's tiny. If this were full-sized in whatever way, well, we could more easily see the shapes that are here, but we have to almost kind of force the shapes a little bit here. It's always going to be a blend between, again, what's realistic and then what is believable. And that, well, Grand Oracle, like here says, sometimes that changes on the scale, right? What's believable at 72 mil scale could be very different. Obviously, right here, this is 72 mil. It's same size as this guy. So there's things that maybe we can't get away with or can get away with on this that we just can't over here just based on the scale. And of course, Grand Oracle, like you're talking about that really small scale, when you're getting down Flames of War and beyond, what's possible there also begins to change. There was... Yeah, no, that's all in shadow anyways. It's all in shadow. That's what we need to do here. That's what we need to do, is fix this up a bit. Let's get some of our... There we go, lighter. That's the radiant violet there. It is interesting on the box art, such as it is, they actually paint the cloth here as purple and everything else is just stone. There's no metal surfaces or anything, which is interesting for sure. Yeah, Grand Oracle, sometimes, well, it's, you just never know, right? And sometimes you have to put it on there and then you go, okay, that doesn't really work there, or like we were talking about earlier, is that something I really want to do on the entire army? Yeah, boy, that looks really nifty, but boy, that's going to tack on some serious time to everything else. Is that going to get done for Las Vegas Open? Is that going to be done for Adepticon or ReaperCon? So now the halflings, they're certainly not going to be quite as dramatic as this guy here. They won't have object source lighting on them, because it's not the Scouring of the Shire version of the Mantic halflings or something like that. But I think you'll be seeing me paint some of those. I think we'll start off with the halflings on the doggies. The little halfling knights. It should be interesting because, man, when's the last time I painted any Kings of War infantry on stream? I know I painted maybe one of the salamanders on a stream. Or is that a Facebook Live? Now, a Grand Oracle, the Kings of War stuff is, it's kind of nifty, but boy, there's it could be a little bit frustrating in the detail areas sometimes. That's for sure. Well, especially, I guess, with the older kits. But yeah, the two little halfling units, one of them is a bunch of Knights on doggies, and then the other one is basically dismounted knights just walking around with swords. So nothing super dramatic. But then we've also never painted any halfling army unit. Actually, Grand Oracle, I don't know if you were there when we were. This is kind of the very beginning when we're talking about the Titan Forge February release, which, oh my goodness, there could be a lot of interesting painting tutorials out of that. That one could be very fascinating. I mean, not just an army thing, but I think also too for just regular kind of individual tutorial, even for basing or dioramas. Heck, even for that. I'm going to come back here with just the straight up fluorescent here. So Grand Oracle, I think I've pretty much just printed out the 32 mil. I suppose I could do the 28s, but to me, the 32 mil, don't have to worry quite so much about dainty things. Printing on that slightly larger scale. I mean, that is, I guess, more AOS scale anyways. I know the Sarge, I think, was saying that Archvillain has something really interesting coming up in February. Alright, there we go. Not going to get any of my red of there. I'm going to go to the, again, this is that, my violet here. Yeah, Grand Oracle, and I guess the advantage I have is that since I won't be playing AOS or anything like that, I don't have to worry about that. Obviously, it's a whole different story with Lord of the Rings stuff, though. A whole different story there. That is much more challenging. And there was some stuff, was some Urukai stuff that I love the look of, but even though I reduced it in size dramatically, it still looks giant compared to the other Lord of the Rings figures. Now, I mean, they are Urukai. I mean, I suppose it'd be okay, but they're darn near the size of half trolls. I don't think I need any more light there. But now that it is, well, we've been doing this almost 4 hours. It's almost 1 in the morning. We got a ton of things to do. I see that Reiner is live. I don't know if he's actually painting. I just want to see. Yeah, Grand Oracle. Just like the Conquest figure, everything makes Lord of the Rings cavalry look like dogs. So I think I might head over Reiner's way just for fun. Because, boy, when's the last time I had a chance to raid Reiner, which is a long, long, long time ago. So I do want to say thanks to everybody for all the bits and the subs and the follows and the cheers and those raids too. Also thanks to everybody that also contributed to the fund there. Again, it's massively helpful for us. Grand Oracle, they're giant, and assembly-wise, even the new kits are still challenging. We'll put it that way. Thank you so much, Kago. Appreciate that. And of course, thanks to Armored Wolf for doing all of the moderations. We appreciate that. And again, this is from Mantic Miniatures, Kings of War. Here, let me zoom out here so we can see him. There we go. We can see much more of him now. So thanks again, Grand Oracle. Appreciate everything. Again, thanks so much to everybody. We'll get the raid countdown going here because it takes a little while. And hopefully, again, Thursday night, we'll be able to hang out with everybody, have our stream then, and have a blast once again. So, a little bit of object source lighting this time, and some Egyptian stuff. Two flavors that go together. So, AD, have a good one. Thank you so much.